Chapter 1509 Trader. Editor. Atlas Studios, as expected of a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Void base. Zhou Feit looked at the majestic city, and could not help but sigh. However, the Lord of 10,000 Evils had a solemn expression, and didn't say anything. He had been the leader of the ultimate void battleground for so many years, so he understood the power of Wanlong City the best. It was no exaggeration to say that even if the number of supreme gods under him multiplied by 5 or 6 times, it was still impossible to forcefully break through the main city of Wanlong. Unless the number of supreme gods under his command increased tenfold, it would be impossible to break through the main city of Wanlong. However, that was obviously impossible. He looked at Zhou Feit. This brother of the common people's regal had been very calm along the way. Next, he would let he see where the confidence that made him so confident came from. At this moment, ha 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 ha, a hoarse and arrogant laugh sounded. Then, he heard more and more laughter. At the same time, there were more and more types of voices, and they came from all directions. Then, as the expressions of Lord of 10,000 Evils and the other god spirits changed drastically, they saw ultimate void god spirits appear in the ultimate void around Lord of 10,000 Evils' army and the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. There were more than 50 billion of them. Moreover, the number of supreme gods and god spirits that could be sensed by the will was as many as 20. They looked arrogantly at Lord of 10,000 Evils and Zhou Zhan, as if they were looking at a group of dead people. In addition, various supreme god-level war machines, war treasures, military formations, and other powerful things were also densely placed in the army. They were accumulating energy, and when they finished accumulating energy, they could release their world-shaking destructive power. This scene immediately made Lord of 10,000 Evils' expression turn ugly. How could he not understand that he had fallen into a trap? However, what puzzled him was how the other party knew exactly when and where they had arrived. It was as if they had long known that they would appear here. At the same time, the Flame Duke Supreme God, who was among the 7 supreme gods under Lord of 10,000 Evils, looked at the ultimate void god spirits that filled the sky, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Then, he regained his calmness. Even his supreme god colleagues did not notice the slight change in his expression. Yet Zhou Feit noticed. Or rather, he had long begun to pay attention to the Flame Duke Supreme God who had helped him out yesterday. Brother Demon Lord, I feel that there's something wrong with you, the Supreme God. Zhou Feit secretly transmitted his voice to Lord of 10,000 Evils and pointed at the Flame Duke Supreme God. Lord of 10,000 Evils, who was already sensitive at this moment, immediately had a slight change in expression. Common people's regal, what do you mean? You suspect that my supreme god is a traitor who leaked our war plan, which is why we are surrounded here. You need evidence to say that. What evidence do you have? I don't have any evidence, and I don't have the time to find so-called evidence for Brother Demon Lord. Let me ask you, Brother Demon Lord, do you think that at this moment, I will frame the supreme god beside you for no reason, and cause our side to lose an important combat power? Do you believe me? This goal was personally told to him by the Supreme Will before he came. Then, he quickly took a deep breath and stared into Zhou Feit's eyes. I believe you. Both he and Zhou Zhan were Supreme Lord reserves personally selected by the Supreme Will. Anyone under he could betray, and become a traitor of the ultimate void race. But Zhou Feit would definitely not. Otherwise, wouldn't that prove that the Supreme Will's judgment was poor? He could even choose a traitor. No matter how stupid Lord of 10,000 Evils was, he wasn't stupid enough to think that the Supreme Will's judgment would be that bad. What Zhou Feit said at this moment was indeed not necessary to lie to him. What do you want to do? Let's capture him first. Don't let this traitor suddenly attack us in secret. Sure. With complicated thoughts, Lord of 10,000 Evils secretly informed the other 6 supreme gods under his command to work together with the 2 supreme gods under Zhou Feit to take down the traitor Flame Duke Supreme God. When the 6 supreme gods heard that the Flame Duke Supreme God, who usually had a good personality, was actually a traitor, they were instantly shocked. However, they also knew that this was not the time to hesitate and agreed immediately. These 6 supreme gods, Savas and Elzum, a total of 8 supreme gods, silently surrounded the Flame Duke Supreme God. However, because the Flame Duke Supreme God was already guilty and cautious, no matter how careful these 8 supreme gods were, they were still noticed by the Flame Duke Supreme God. He immediately became extremely vigilant. Why did these 8 fellows suddenly move at the same time, and even indistinctly approach him? It was a matter of life and death. When the Flame Duke Supreme God realized this, he could not help but start to think too much. After only thinking for a second, the Flame Duke Supreme God made a decisive decision. He immediately turned into a fiery light and flew towards the Ultimate Void Race's army. This action caused the expressions of the 8 supreme gods surrounding the Flame Duke Supreme God to change. At the same time, it also made Lord of 10,000 Evil's expression turn extremely ugly. There was actually a traitor among his supreme god worshippers. He could not help but be furious. He couldn't imagine how much information his good subordinate had leaked to the Ultimate Void Race over the years. It was no wonder that every time he engaged in a large-scale battle with the Ultimate Void Race and wanted to launch a sneak attack on them, he would always fail because the other party was fully prepared. At first, he only felt that the Ultimate Void Race was very cautious when facing a Supreme Lord Reserve. Only now did he react. How was this the other party being cautious? It was obvious that the other party had long known of their sneak attack plan and calmly made preparations. Flame Duke, Lord of 10,000 Evils, couldn't help but grit his teeth. The more he cherished this subordinate of the Supreme God, the more he hated this subordinate of the Supreme God now. Right now, he even wished that he could personally tear the other party into pieces. At the same time, just as the Flame Duke Supreme God was about to charge out of the encirclement of the army and fly towards the Ultimate Void Race's God Spirit army, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the Flame Duke Supreme God. It was Saras. At this moment, Saras was wearing silver gray Supreme God armor that exuded the might of a Supreme God and holding a silver gray feather fan. Let's go back. He held the silver gray feather fan and waved it gently at the Flame Duke Supreme God. In the next moment, the endless violent storm suddenly rolled up and swept fiercely onto the Flame Duke Supreme God. Under the interweaving influence of the power of space and time, plus the Flame Duke Supreme God didn't expect Saras to have such a method. Caught off guard, he directly appeared where he was a second ago. Even though it was only a second ago, it had only been less than 2 seconds since the Flame Duke Supreme God escaped and was blown back. Therefore, when the Flame Duke Supreme God came back to his senses, he suddenly realized that he had already fallen into the encirclement of the other 7 supreme gods. Chapter 15:10. You'll only know if you fight. Editor. Atlas Studios. They'll fight it out with you. The Flame Duke Supreme God was enraged. 8 colored divine flames boiled around him, out of thin air. These 8 colored divine flames could even incinerate the ultimate void around him. However, in the next second, Elzum stood up with a purple bell in his hand. He gently shook the bell, and an invisible supreme law of illusion spread out and firmly surrounded the Flame Duke Supreme God. The Flame Duke Supreme God only struggled slightly before falling into an endless illusion. His eyes immediately became blank. Suppress him, Elzum said. Only then did the other 6 supreme gods react. They hurriedly took out a grade 2 supreme god-level divine artifact rope and firmly bound him, imprisoning his own laws and willpower, completely rendering him unable to resist. At this moment, the Flame Duke Supreme God had just woken up from the illusion. He looked at the Supreme God divine artifact rope tied to his body in a daze, still not understanding what had happened. Traitor! A former colleague kicked the Flame Duke Supreme God, knocking he down. Then with a cold expression he brought he in front of Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Why did you betray me? I've treated you well, right? The Lord of 10,000 Evils stared at the Flame Duke Supreme God. So what if you treat me well? I'm not following you to die with you. The Flame Duke Supreme God stopped pretending and looked at Lord of 10,000 Evils with a cold smile. You're a Supreme Lord Reserve. Without the Supreme Will's order, You probably won't dare to leave this place for the rest of your life. No, you have a deep desire for the Supreme Lord's position. Even if the Supreme Will wants you to leave the ultimate void battleground, you probably won't leave shamelessly. But I'm not. The ultimate void clan is so powerful that you have no chance of winning. If I continue to follow you, I will only be waiting for death. Since that's the case, why don't I join the ultimate void clan? Lord of 10,000 Evils closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes again, his gaze had completely turned cold. I'm very curious. How can you be so sure that I'm a traitor? I think my upshur is already perfect. The Flame Duke Supreme God asked doubtfully. This was indeed what he was most puzzled about. He felt that he shouldn't have revealed any flaws. Lord of 10,000 Evils did not speak, and only looked at Zhou Fight. Zhou Fight smiled faintly. You're the one who found out I was a traitor? The Flame Duke Supreme God stared at Zhou Fight with wide eyes. Then, he hurriedly shook his head. Impossible. I've been by the side of that idiot Lord of 10,000 Evils for tens of thousands of years. But he hasn't discovered me. You've only been here for 2 days. How can you find evidence to prove that I'm a traitor? Evidence? Zhou Fight sighed and smiled at the Flame Duke Supreme God. Flame Duke Supreme God, how can you still say such childish words now? To us, if we want to deal with someone, do we still need to show evidence? The words of a stronger person are the greatest evidence. I don't have any so-called proof that you're a traitor. I just feel that something's wrong with you. From the moment I saw you, I felt that something was wrong. I trust my instincts. In addition, when the Ultimate Void Army appeared just now, I happened to catch the joy in your heart. That's why I thought you were a traitor. From the looks of it, my intuition was right. The Flame Duke Supreme God was stunned. Then, he smiled sadly, and didn't say another word. Kill him. Don't delay things. Zhou Fight looked at Lord of 10,000 Evils and said, Thank you very much. Lord of 10,000 Evils thanked him, with a complicated expression. Then, he took one last look at the Flame Duke Supreme God, and took out a black gold lotus lamp. As divine power flowed, a black gold light instantly burst out from the lotus lamp, and struck the Flame Duke Supreme God's head. The Flame Duke Supreme God's divine spark immediately shattered and died. At the same time, within the Ultimate Void Race's army, a slender woman in purple armor looked at the broken divine lamp in her hand, and narrowed her eyes. The Flame Duke is dead, he said. He was called Adu. He was one of the 3 supreme commanders of this encirclement and suppression army. At the same time, he was also a grade 4 supreme god, and also the official leader of the Flame Duke Supreme God. That guy was actually discovered. Another Ultimate Void Supreme God beside him said in surprise. He was the 2nd Commander-in-Chief. His name was Amro. It seems that this operation has exposed he. Unfortunately, it's not easy to find a Supreme God-level spy. A grade 4 Ultimate Void Supreme God, who looked like a bat with dark purple eyes and a pale face, exclaimed. It was none other than Rhoda, the Supreme God of the Void, who had come to investigate the cause of Kai's death. He was also the Supreme Commander of this encirclement and suppression army. His status was even higher than the other 2 commanders. It doesn't matter anymore. Amro smiled and said, After we deal with Lord of 10,000 Evils, and that new common people's regal, the Ultimate Void battleground will belong to us completely. That Flame Duke will be useless. Besides, he is a traitor to begin with. He might betray us one day. I don't want this guy. Adu and Rhoda nodded, and no longer cared about the dead Flame Duke Supreme God. When are we going to attack? I can't wait to behead that Lord of 10,000 Evils. Amro said excitedly. There's no hurry. We've already surrounded them completely. Let's wait until our war machines are fully charged. When the time comes, we'll give them a big one. Coincidentally, they also need some time to deal with the traitor. We'll give them some time. When the time is up, it will be their death. Ha ha ha. At the end, Rhoda burst into laughter. Don't be so confident. The Flame Duke Supreme God said that the new common people's regal has methods that can induce the enemy soldiers to incite defection. Have you taken precautions? Aidu asked. You don't have to worry about that. That's the least of your worries. In order to guard against this method, I specially went to His Majesty's place and asked for a treasure. It was specially to guard against that guy's incite defection. Rhoda said confidently. That's good then. Aidu breathed a sigh of relief. Since His Majesty had sent a treasure over, it was definitely foolproof. At the same time, after Lord of 10,000 Evils finished dealing with the Flame Duke Supreme God, he cupped his fists at Zhou Fight. Brother Common People's Regal, thank you so much this time. I owe you a favor. Just accept the Flame Duke Supreme God's corpse and his world ring. Zhou Fight nodded and took the Flame Duke Supreme God's corpse. After he took his world ring, his will entered it and couldn't help but laugh. 3 Supreme God Divine Artifacts. This Flame Duke Supreme God is really rich. The Lord of 10,000 Evils said coldly. How could he have 3 Supreme God Divine Artifacts? He must have obtained benefits from the ultimate void race. Zhou Fight nodded in agreement. Then, he extracted his spoils of war and barely obtained 4 Supreme Divine Artifacts. The Lord of 10,000 Evils did not ask what loot Zhou Fight had obtained. He looked up at the Ultimate Void Clan's army solemnly. Brother Common People's Regal, this battle won't be easy. He muttered. We won't know if it's easy to fight until we fight. Zhou Fight said. Chapter 1511, Battle. Resolute Treasure Seal. 1. Editor. Atlas Studios. Zhou Fight and the Lord of 10,000 Evils looked up at the Ultimate Void Race army. In the beginning, they were puzzled as to why these Ultimate Void Race God spirits did not attack them. However soon, the Lord of 10,000 Evils and Zhou Fight discovered a vast amount of war machines, war treasures, and military formations among the 50 billion Ultimate Void God spirits. There was no lack of Supreme God-level machinery, treasures, and military formations. At this moment, they were quickly accumulating energy. After accumulating energy, they would release their shocking attack. When the Lord of 10,000 Evils saw this scene, his face immediately turned pale. He immediately looked around, and indeed found that they were already surrounded by multiple Supreme God-level arrays. They were simply like turtles in a jar, unable to escape even if they wanted to. This is going to be tough. The Lord of 10,000 Evils' expression turned ugly. He looked at Zhou Fight and found that he was still calm and composed. The Lord of 10,000 Evils couldn't help but feel curious. This Brother Common People's Regal was clearly just a newly promoted Reserve Supreme Lord. But why did he seem to be even calmer than he, in the face of such a crisis? He had a few treasures bestowed by the Supreme Will. He was confident that he could protect him, which was why he was so calm. Where was the Common People's Regal? He had only risen for a short period of time. The Supreme Will probably didn't give him much good stuff, right? Brother Common People's Regal. The other party is about to attack. Do you have any way to deal with it? Lord of 10,000 Evils could not help but ask. We wait, Zhou Fight said. Wait. The Lord of 10,000 Evils was stunned. Just as he was about to ask a few more questions, he saw Zhou Fight's gaze suddenly freeze. Here we go, he said in a deep voice. What's coming? The Lord of 10,000 Evils subconsciously looked up, but his expression instantly changed. The vast amount of war machines, war treasures, and military formations had already accumulated their energy. They aimed at the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils, ready to attack at any moment. The Lord of 10,000 Evils looked from afar. It was as if they could see Rhoda, the Grade 4 Supreme God of the Void, smile at them and spit out a word. Die. The next second, boom 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 boom. The earth-shattering cannon fire carried the terrifying might of the supreme laws. Like a dense meteor shower, it attacked the 10 billion God spirits of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils. The earth-shattering cannon fire carried the terrifying might of the supreme laws. Like a dense meteor shower, it attacked the 10 billion God spirits of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Finally, there were the spirits of various Supreme God-level military formations. They held all kinds of weapons and charged towards the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils together with the Ultimate Void Race's army. The Lord of 10,000 Evils' pupils constricted. When Zhou Fight saw this, he took out 10 supreme divine artifacts without hesitation and threw them into the ultimate void army. Then, he did something that none of the god spirits had expected. He said softly, "Explode." As soon as he finished speaking, the 10 supreme divine artifacts, which were enough to make countless supreme gods greedy, exploded on the spot. Its power was almost equivalent to the self-destruction of 20 supreme gods at the same time. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The ultimate void battleground suddenly fell silent. However, in this silence, countless ultimate void race god spirits, true god tiers, and even supreme gods had quietly fallen. As for the attacks that the ultimate void race had been preparing for a long time, nearly a third of them were forcibly negated by this shocking explosion. When Zhou Fight saw this, he took out another 20 Grade 1 Supreme Divine Artifacts without hesitation and threw them in front of the ultimate void race's army, causing them to self-destruct. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the heaven and earth were overshadowed by the brilliance of various laws. The two sides couldn't even see each other's army. They could only see the resplendent and violent light of the explosion. After a long time, when the light gradually dissipated, Lord of 10,000 Evils, who had regained his senses, immediately looked over. Then, he gasped in shock at the scene in front of him. The 50 billion ultimate void god spirit army that had existed just now had suddenly decreased by more than 1 billion, and even 2 supreme gods had died. More than 3,000 master god tiers had also died, and the god spirit army under he had only lost more than 50 million god spirits. Moreover, there was not even a single supreme god among them. Only more than 500 master god tier had died. Of course, this was an extremely shocking loss. If it were in the past, he would have felt heartache for hundreds of years. However, the other party had suffered even more losses. With this comparison, the Lord of 10,000 Evils immediately felt comfortable. And when he saw the number of casualties in the Zhou Fight's Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, he was stunned. This was because he discovered that the army of gods from the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom seemed to be fine. They were still standing in an orderly line in the void, as if they were ready to fight at any time. And none of them had fallen. Not to mention the fallen supreme gods. Even master god tiers, true god tiers, and even ordinary god spirits had not perished in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. At most, he would be slightly injured. However, their injuries healed quickly under their powerful recovery abilities. Zero death. The Lord of 10,000 Evils muttered in his heart. How is that possible? Even 10 supreme gods could not withstand the volley of attacks from the ultimate void army, just now. Even if the self-destruction of Zhou Fight's 30 supreme god artifacts offset most of the power of the other party's volley, the remaining aftershock was enough to cause him to suffer a lot of losses. Chapter 1512, Battle. Resolute Treasure Seal. 2. How could there be 0 deaths? The Lord of 10,000 Evils naturally didn't know. Didn't that mean that none of Zhou Fight's subordinates died? It was just that he automatically revived the moment he died. So he thought that he had died completely. The Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at Zhou Fight with a complicated expression when he came back to his senses. Only now did he realize the most important thing. This brother common people's regal of has actually used the self-destruction of a total of 30 supreme god artifacts to offset and counterattack the opponent's strongest first round of attack. Even though it was successfully resolved, the Lord of 10,000 Evils still felt heartache. That was a total of 30 supreme divine artifacts. It was enough for 5 fully armed supreme gods. You just threw it out and self-destructed. You can't make them like this even if they were only grade 1 supreme divine artifacts. Even willpower level existences would scold you for being a wastrel if they saw this. As for why the common people's regal had so many supreme divine artifacts, he knew that this was not a good time to ask about it even though he was puzzled. He'll ask that question next time. At the same time, behind the ultimate void race army, Rhoda, AI do, and Amro stared blankly at the battlefield below. Am I seeing this right? Amro was at a loss. You're right. AI do narrowed his eyes, unable to hide the shock in his eyes. This Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army forcefully self-destructed 30 Grade 1 Supreme Divine Artifacts in order to resolve our first round of fiercest attacks. Even though he suffered heavy losses, it's undeniable that he succeeded. Not only did our first round of attacks not work, but we even lost a lot of people on our side. Even 2 of our Supreme God companions died. I'm going to be criticized by the Void Emperor when I get back. I do sighed. Common People's Regal. Rhoda stared at the Common People's Regal below. I thought I had already overestimated you to the greatest extent, so I specially gathered an army to attack. I even personally borrowed treasures from the Void Emperor. I didn't expect to still underestimate you. You're really willing to part with 30 Supreme Divine Artifacts. Rhoda shook his head. Their ultimate void race was the most unrestricted race in the ultimate void environment. So they were the best at living in the ultimate void like fish in water. And because of that, treasures from the ultimate void, that could not be obtained by other races, could be easily obtained by the ultimate void clan. Even though this kind of harvest was very random, after tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer, it still allowed their ultimate void race to accumulate a large amount of racial heritage. Just like Master God tier divine artifacts and Supreme divine artifacts, the Master God tiers and Supreme Gods of the ultimate void race each had one at least. Some of the richer Master God tiers and Supreme Gods had several divine artifacts. Currently, a portion of the main divine artifacts and Supreme divine artifacts that were circulating in the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Scarlet Great Cosmos were seized from the ultimate void race. However, the ultimate void race did not care about this. Sometimes, they would even take the initiative to give out divine artifacts to rope in the gods in the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Scarlet Great Cosmos. It could be seen how many divine artifacts they had, but he didn't expect it either. The ultimate void race was very rich in terms of divine artifacts. However, this Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army from the Supreme Will did not seem to be inferior at all. No, it was more than not bad. When Rhoda recalled the scene of the 30 Supreme Divine Artifacts self-destructing at the same time, he could not help but click his tongue. Throwing out 30 Supreme Divine Artifacts at the same time in one go was not heartbreaking. Even in their ultimate void race, only those existences with willpower could do such a thing, right? This kid was just a newly promoted Supreme Lord Reserve. Where did he get so many Supreme Divine Artifacts? Rhoda gritted his teeth. Without any time to think, he immediately ordered. Continue to attack the army of Lord of 10,000 Evils and Common People's Regal. It doesn't matter if the first round of offensive is ineffective. Our military strength, the number of war machines, and the number of Supreme Gods far exceeds theirs. They can be crushed by sheer numbers. Rhoda thought for a moment and added. In addition, find a few top Supreme Gods who are good at assassination to surround and kill the Common People's Regal and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Especially the Common People's Regal. He is the main target of assassination. We must kill him first. If the Common People's Regal doesn't die, I feel that there will be other accidents. Okay, then let me go. It's the safest choice for me to personally assassinate the Common People's Regal. Aidu immediately said. Rhoda nodded. Aidu was an assassin-type grade 4 Supreme God. Among the Supreme Gods present, Aidu was ranked second in terms of assassination ability. No other god spirit dared to say that he was number 1. Rhoda was most assured that he would go. Amro was envious and jealous when he saw that. However, he knew his own business. His combat style was completely that of a warrior. He was really not good at the job of an assassin at all. Aidu, this guy got a huge credit for nothing. He mumbled. At the same time, in the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, even though Zhou Fight looked calm on the surface, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart when he saw that he had forcibly obtained the upper hand in the first round. It was good that he won. With that level of attack just now, other than thinking of using a large number of Supreme God Divine Artifacts to self-destruct, Zhou Fight really could not think of any other way to resolve an offensive of that level in a short period of time. As for the 30 Supreme Divine Artifacts that were consumed, Zhou Fight took a look at his number 1 treasure vault. There was a mountain of supreme divine artifacts that numbered in the tens of thousands. He felt that 30 Grade 1 supreme divine artifacts were not a big deal. The god spirits of the ultimate void race had especially many divine artifacts on them. Every ultimate void god spirit would have at least one divine artifact on them. It was not uncommon for many to have an entire set of divine artifacts on them. With the help of Heavenly Fate Di Huang and various titles, the True God Tier Divine Artifacts, Master God Tier Divine Artifacts, and Supreme Divine Artifacts were all rendered useless by Zhou Fight. After some time, Zhou Fight was confident that even if he had to compete with him, in terms of the number of Supreme Divine Artifacts, he would still be able to win. Right at that moment, Zhou Fight saw that after the Ultimate Void Race's army experienced the self-destruction of a Supreme God Artifact and attacked them again, he subconsciously wanted to use the Sun of Destiny. However, at that moment, a premonition prevented him from releasing it. That's not right. Since the Flame Duke Supreme God is a spy, there's a high chance that he will tell the other party about my insight defection ability. They can't be unprepared when they know what I'm capable of. Zhou Fight thought for a moment. As he let the soldiers resist the attack of the Ultimate Void Army, he took out the Bodhi Supreme and asked, Bodhi Supreme, what method did the other party use to stop me from using the Sun of Destiny? Who did it to? 2 formal questions. Star. Zhou Fight agreed without hesitation. The other party's method of stopping you from using the Sun of Destiny is a willpower level treasure called the Resolute Treasure Seal. This treasure was accidentally obtained by the Void Emperor from the Ultimate Void. I don't know which alternate universe it came from, but it was originally one of the other party's treasures. Its effect is specially used to resist the bewitching methods of a Son of Destiny like you. Later on, after Rhoda learned about this from the Flame Duke Supreme God, he reported it to the Void Emperor. After the Void Emperor found out, he bestowed this treasure to him and let him use it to deal with you. The Bodhi Supreme commented. In other words, as long as I get the Seal of Resolution on Rhoda, I can use the Sun of Destiny normally. Zhou Fight said. That's right. Bodhi Supreme nodded. I see. Zhou Fight nodded slightly. Then, he looked at Lord of 10,000 Evils. Brother Demon Lord, do you want to make a deal? Zhou Fight asked. What kind of deal? Lord of 10,000 Evils originally wanted to participate in the battle personally, but he didn't expect common people's regal to say such a thing, causing him to be stunned on the spot. Let's join forces and kill that supreme god of the void Rhoda. Then, it'll return the victory of the battle in front of you. How'd it go? Bottoms up. The Lord of 10,000 Evils nodded without hesitation and asked, which one is Rhoda? Zhou Fight. Chapter 1513. The Little Dragon's Terrifying Supportability. Zhou Fight waved his right hand and saw Rhoda's image and information appear in front of the Lord of 10,000 Evils. The Lord of 10,000 Evils took a look and his gaze landed on Rhoda, who was behind the other party's battlefield. Grade 4 Supreme Gods have a certain level of difficulty. There's another 4th grade Supreme God beside him. There are other god spirits of the ultimate void race guarding the surroundings. It will be difficult to forcefully assassinate them. The Lord of 10,000 Evils said. Just as the Zhou Fight thought that the other party did not want to go, the Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled and said, however, we can try. He turned his head to look behind him. Wuxia Xiantong. The two of you follow me to assassinate the enemy commander. If you succeed, you will be rewarded. Yes. 2 supreme gods of different races stood up and flew to the Lord of 10,000 Evils' side. Just as they were about to leave, Zhou Fight reached out and stopped them. Wait, is there anything else you want to tell us? The Lord of 10,000 Evils asked. You should be able to use these supreme divine artifacts. After Zhou Fight finished speaking, he waved his right hand, and a total of 30 supreme divine artifacts appeared in front of them. The Lord of 10,000 Evils, Wuxia, and Xiantong only took a glance, and were shocked to discover that these supreme divine artifacts were actually supreme divine artifacts that were perfectly compatible with their own nomological paths. They could not help but look at each other. Since the other party could take out so many supreme divine artifacts, it could only prove that the other party had more supreme divine artifacts on him. Otherwise, he would definitely not be able to take out so many suitable supreme divine artifacts. How many supreme divine artifacts did this common people's regal have? They could not help but think. There was no time to think about the answer to this question. Hu Zhu and Xian Tong made a few choices and took 8 supreme divine artifacts. The Lord of 10,000 Evils did not take it. That was because he already had an entire set of supreme divine artifacts on him. And it was an exclusive supreme divine artifact set that he had personally created for him. He did not need Zhou Feit's help. After Hu Zhu and Xian Tong finished choosing, they saw Lord of 10,000 Evils take out a shadow cloak and float above his head. Then, Zhou Feit was surprised to see that the 2 supreme god-level consecrators of Lord of 10,000 Evils, and he, had actually disappeared into thin air in front of him. I hope it works, Zhou Feit thought to himself. It would naturally be best if they could use the Son of Destiny to win the war. If there was really no other way, he could only use the supreme divine artifact to blast out a path of victory. It was still too prodigal, even though they could still win this way. Even though Zhou Feit had the right to do this, it was naturally better not to do it. Then, he looked at the situation on the battlefield. However, after reading it, his expression immediately turned solemn. The situation on the battlefield was not good. The number of gods of the enemy was more than 5 times that of them after all. Moreover, in terms of the number of top combatants like Master God tier and Supreme God, they far exceeded them. Even though the nearly 2 billion supreme soldier types under Zhou Feit were almost not inferior to the enemy's 20 billion god spirit army. However, these nearly 2 billion supreme soldier types and the 10 billion god spirit army of more than 10,000 demon lords were still not a match for the 50 billion god spirit army of the ultimate void race. Therefore, on the ultimate void battlefield, the divine spirits of the blazing sun divine kingdom were in a rare state of suppression. I can't believe that I've only been in the ultimate void battleground for such a short period of time, and these guys have already made such a big move. Zhou Feit shook his head. Then, he patted the golden dragon horn in front of him and smiled faintly. Little dragon, bring out your capabilities and show them to the ultimate void race. Sure. The dragon god of all life nodded. Then, he roared at the sky. Immediately after, a halo emitting a dark yellow nomological light emitted from his body and quickly spread to the entire battlefield. Lord's Law Skill. Amnesty for all life. Lord Law Skill. Amnesty for all life. Instantly recover the injuries of all the soldiers on the battlefield and the soldiers on the right, allowing them to instantly recover their health and recover the energy in their bodies to a full state. Then, another white jade halo burst out from Little Dragon's body and quickly enveloped all the Divine Kingdom army and Lord of 10,000 Evils army on the battlefield. Lord's Law Skill, Blessings of all life undying. Lord's Law Skill, blessed by all life. When your own soldiers and friendly soldiers on the battlefield are fatally injured, your own soldiers and friendly soldiers will not die immediately. Instead, they will continue to maintain their peak state when they are alive, and will not truly die until an hour later. Then, another khaki-colored halo burst out from the little dragon's body, and quickly enveloped all the Divine Kingdom army, and Lord of 10,000 Evils army on the battlefield. Lord's Law Skill Fearless Blessing increases the defense of the soldiers on the battlefield by 100%, and gives them courage. They can face any powerful enemy fearlessly, calmly, and rationally. Then, another indescribably noble purple halo radiated from the little dragon's body, enveloping the entire battlefield, including the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Lord's Law Skill, Blessing of the Heavens. Soldiers on the battlefield and friendly soldiers receive the blessing of the heavens. It's easier for them to encounter lucky things, such as dodging attacks, smooth release of skills, epiphany in battle, unexpected counterattacks, and other positive situations. Meanwhile, the enemy will always encounter all kinds of bad luck, such as exhaustion of magic power, skill backlash, mistakes in cooperation, accidentally injuring their comrades, and so on. Support halos burst forth from the dragon god of all lives' body, one after another. In the blink of an eye, all the troops of the blazing sun divine kingdom and lord of 10,000 evils present were enhanced by more than 30 support halos. I feel that I'm at least 5 to 6 times stronger than before. My speed has become so fast. How did my lost skill become so much stronger? This feeling is really crazy. The army of the blazing sun divine kingdom and the army of lord of 10,000 evils were shocked by the increase in their strength. And this was only a superficial increase in combat power. They had yet to notice the various secret improvements, such as the blessings of the common people, the blessings of the common people, and the blessings of the gods. When they noticed it, they would definitely be even more shocked. At this moment, a Master God tier elementary grade God spirit from the Lord of 10,000 Evils camp was hiding from another Master God tier advanced grade God spirit from the Ultimate Void Race camp. When the Dragon God of all lives Halo ability was augmented on him, the feeling of being caught off guard and improving in all aspects made he instantly stunned. He subconsciously stood rooted to the ground. When the Master God tier advanced grade Ultimate Void God spirit behind, he saw this scene, he immediately sneered. You still have the guts to be distracted when you're escaping? Courting death. He seized this short moment and quickly came to the other party's side. He slashed at the other party's head with his sickle-shaped arms. Chapter 15:14. Assassination and reinforcements appear. However, right at this moment, this Master God tier elementary grade God spirit seemed to have sensed the other party's attack. While dodging the other party's attack with incomparable precision, he unleashed his famous law skill, Flame Demon overflowing the heavens, accurately striking this Master God tier advanced grade Ultimate Void God spirit's body. Even though this Ultimate Void God spirit was somewhat caught off guard by the other party's counterattack, he did not panic. He had the augmentation of the Master God tier divine artifacts inner armor on him. The attack of a Master God tier elementary grade God spirit would not cause him much damage, he estimated confidently. However, in the next moment, a look of astonishment suddenly appeared on his face. Puff! He suddenly spat out a mouthful of divine blood and was sent flying more than 1,000 kilometers away. When he recovered from the heavy blow, he was shocked to discover that he had been severely injured by that Master God tier elementary grade God spirit. At the same time, this Master God tier elementary grade God spirit under Lord of 10,000 Evils also looked at his palm that was burning with purple demonic flames in shock. What happened just now? When did I have such powerful divine power? I can actually heavily injure a Master God tier advanced grade God spirit with a single palm strike? Moreover, my reaction just now was also not right. I actually predicted the other party's attack in advance and dodged it like a Master God tier of the Law of Fate? Is this still me? He muttered. Then, he carefully sensed the changes in his body. Then, as if he had suddenly sensed something, he suddenly looked up at the Dragon God of all life under Zhou Fight. It's the Dragon God under the common people's regal who bestowed us with powerful strength and other abilities. What a powerful and magical Dragon God. I've never seen a Dragon God with such an ability. He looked elsewhere on the battlefield. Under the powerful halo ability of the Dragon God of all life, the army of the blazing sun divine kingdom, and the army of Lord of 10,000 Evils, seemed to have taken medicine. All of them were energetic, and their combat strength had increased by more than 5 to 6 times. Originally, they were at a disadvantage under the attack of the Ultimate Void Army. However, after the support of the Dragon God of all life, they actually fought back and forth with the other party at this moment. They did not seem to be at a disadvantage at all. What a terrifying halo ability, the Master God tier said enviously. Then, he didn't have time to think and continued to engage in the war. At the same time, the other divinities who participated in the battle had similar thoughts. That was because they were all under the halo ability of the Dragon God of all life. Their battlefield combat power and battlefield survival ability had been greatly improved, Even supreme gods were no exception. With the help of the dragon god of all life, it was not a problem for the supreme gods on their side to fight 2 or even 3. When Zhou Fight saw that the battle situation had stabilized, he nodded secretly. Then, he touched the dragon horn in front of him and smiled. Well done. The little dragon snorted and sounded very pleased with itself. Then, Zhou Fight was about to see how Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others were doing. At this moment, he inexplicably felt a strong sense of danger. Without thinking, he slashed out with his sword. Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Law Skill. Heaven Destruction Dao. Clang! A crisp sound rang out. Rays of white light appeared from the void and formed Ai's figure. However, in an instant, he turned into countless rays of light again and disappeared into the air. His cold voice echoed in the air. Law skills are good law skills, and supreme divine artifacts are also good supreme divine artifacts. Pity that it's not yours after all. You will definitely die in this next attack. Zhou Fight's expression was calm as he listened to these confident words. However, his body emitted a powerful supreme god's nomological pressure. Coupled with his top grade 3 supreme god realm divine artifact, he looked rather unapproachable. Du, who had turned into a colorless light and was hiding in the void, could not help but be secretly shocked when he saw Zhou Fight at this moment. Didn't the intelligence say that this guy was the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army that had risen from the Lord War of the 10,000 races? Why did the newly emerged 4th Reserve Army seem to have the combat power of a top Supreme God now? Was this Supreme Will so strong to nurture a new generation of Supreme Lord Reserve Army? He didn't guess too much. Ai's attention returned to the assassination. However, at this moment, he suddenly discovered this Supreme Lord Reserve Army and did something he did not expect at all. All of a sudden, he dissipated his terrifying aura, and even his strength had decreased to the level of an ordinary grade 1 Supreme God. After doing all this, he revealed a smile and did nothing else. What is this guy doing? Did he give up on himself and wait for death? However, he naturally wouldn't give up such a good opportunity. He immediately launched an assassination attempt on Zhou Fight's back. As long as we kill this common people's regal, we will win this war completely. Ai's eyes were filled with determination and fanaticism. The distance between the two was quickly closed by Ai at an astonishing speed. Just as he was about to stab into Zhou Fight's divine body and shatter his divine spark. Clang! The crisp sound of 2 blades colliding rang out. Ai was shocked to see that not only was his light shadow demon saber blocked by the other party, it was also sent flying. With a thought, the light saber returned to his hand. Then, he looked at the black-robed saber man with a solemn expression. Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade? The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said in a low voice. You have become weaker. Ai's hands trembled slightly. He found it hard to imagine that this fellow, who had once been defeated by him, was now so strong. He even said that he had become weaker? You're clearly much stronger than before, okay? Previously, you could only barely fight me, a 4th grade Supreme God. Now this guy's strength is obviously not weaker than mine. In fact, in a head-on battle, he might even be stronger than me. It had only been a short while since they last met, so how did his strength increase so much? At the same time, when Zhou Fight saw the other party appear, a faint smile appeared on his face. It was precisely because he had sensed the other party's appearance that he had restrained his aura. With the other party around, his safety wouldn't be a problem after all. This was an existence who had killed a grade 4 Supreme God like a dog after obtaining his 6th Supreme God divine artifacts after all. At that time, it was only a puppet. Now its main body had personally come. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade. I didn't expect to see you here. Zhou Fight smiled. I won't take your Supreme God artifact for nothing. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Zhou Fight smirked. Back then, he did not give those 6 Supreme God divine artifacts to the other party for nothing. Sure enough, he saw the reward. With the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade around, Zhou Fight felt more relaxed. How did your Excellency Heavenly Blade come to the ultimate void battleground? Was your Excellency stationed here in the first place? He asked curiously. Lord of 10,000 evils definitely did not have your excellency Heaven Blade under his command. Zhou Feit was very sure of this. That could only prove that the other party had applied to join the ultimate void battlefield alone, as a lone god spirit. This was also allowed in the ultimate void battleground, but generally, only supreme gods could apply. Ordinary god spirits were not qualified to apply. No, I was cultivating in the boundless universe. After sensing danger on your side, I opened a spatial rift with my saber and jumped over. The supreme god of the heavenly blade said. Zhou Feit. Huh? Chapter 15:15. Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade. Grade 4 Supreme God Puppet. Zhou Feit was stunned. He split open a spatial rift and jumped in. Are you kidding me? If it was so easy to enter the ultimate void battleground, the Supreme Will would not have limited the number of deities that could enter the ultimate void battleground. Unless, Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, it seems like you've made progress in the path of the sword. Zhou Feit tried to praise him. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade nodded slightly and said, I've gained some insights ever since we parted last time. Now I feel that my sword Dao has touched the threshold of the Supreme Will realm. Zhou Feit's jaw dropped. The threshold of Supreme Will? Brother, aren't you a grade 3 Supreme God realm? You haven't even advanced to a grade 4 Supreme God. And you've already touched the threshold of Supreme Will? Genius. This word appeared in Zhou Feit's mind. This Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade was definitely a top genius. Even the word genius wasn't enough to describe him. He had touched the threshold of the Supreme Will realm without any legacies. If he wasn't a genius, what was he? No wonder he could slash open a spatial rift that led to the ultimate void battlefield. Indeed, the Supreme Gods could not do this. However, if it was a Supreme God who had touched the threshold of the Supreme Will realm, it would not be included. True Supreme Will realm existences could freely enter and exit the ultimate void battlefield after all. They could even bring God spirits to the ultimate void battlefield like the Supreme Will. Even though the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had not reached that level, it was not a problem for him to come alone. I also have to thank you. If not for your 6 supreme divine artifacts, I wouldn't have been able to touch that threshold. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had a cold personality. However, no matter how aloof he was, he couldn't help but sound happy when he talked about his advancement. Anyone who knew that they had a chance to advance to the Supreme Willpower realm in the future would be like this. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade was no exception. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade suddenly sensed something. His gaze turned cold as he looked at the figure fleeing into the distance. It is AI Du. At this moment, AI Du's mind was filled with thoughts of escaping. What did he just hear? That guy who had once been defeated by him had actually become an existence that had touched the threshold of Supreme Will? Even in their ultimate void race, such an existence could directly become a top-notch existence under the Void Emperor's holy sun. No wonder that guy could send my saber flying with a single slash. Even if he was 1 level weaker, killing he was like killing a dog, let alone sending his saber flying. No matter how stupid he was, he wouldn't want to fight against such an existence. Therefore, he only wanted to escape. He fled back to the Void Emperor and told His Excellency that there was a Supreme Will seed there. He begged the Void Emperor to kill he personally. An existence at the level of Supreme Will was enough to control the situation in the ultimate void battleground. Even the Void Emperor did not dare to underestimate it. They could not allow the Supreme Will to have another Supreme Will realm existence at this time now that they were about to take down the entire ultimate void battleground. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a black-robed figure appear in front of he. He had a calm expression as he looked at AI Du quietly. It was the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade. AI Du looked at the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade for a few seconds and suddenly smiled. Heavenly Blade, even though you have touched the threshold of the Supreme Will realm, you will also be targeted by our ultimate void race. Go seek refuge with your Supreme Will Mother. Otherwise, you'll die behind me sooner or later. Ehahaha. Goo goo. Halfway through AI Du's laughter, he saw a saber beam arrive in front of him, as fast as a stream of light. The saber stabbed into his mouth and then shattered his head. He carried Aida's corpse to Zhou Fight and threw it to him. After doing all this, "Is this for me?" Zhou Fight asked curiously. The supreme god of the heavenly blade nodded. "Thank you very much." Zhou Fight smiled and nodded. Then, he directly extracted the other party's corpse and used the Lord Talent effect of the lucky star. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent notification. Your spoils of war have been enhanced by Heavenly Fate Di Huang. Perfect loots. Quality +1. Title hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the titles of Strongest Lord of all races and Strongest Lord of all races. Number of loots +150%. Title hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the title of King of 10,000 Kings. The number of loots increased by 100%. Lord Talent notification. You have obtained perfect loots. Lucky Star notification. You have obtained a special loots. Light Supreme God, Aida's Puppet, Grade 4 Supreme God. Zhou Fight roughly took a look at the spoils of war of this Grade 4 Supreme God. He realized that this fellow was indeed one of the deputy commanders of the Ultimate Void Army this time. He already had 5 Supreme Divine Artifacts on him. Under the enhancement of the talent effect and title, it directly doubled to 20 Supreme Divine Artifacts. As for the other Supreme God-level treasures, and the Supreme God-level treasures that had been upgraded from Master God Tier +1, there were thousands of them in total. However, to Zhou Fight, who already had tens of thousands of Supreme God artifacts, this was naturally not worth his attention. His gaze landed on the spoils of war provided by the Lucky Star, a Grade 4 Supreme God Realm puppet. Zhou Fight smirked. He really got what he needed. Bodhi Supreme was right. This Lucky Star was indeed easy to drop puppet-type loots. Its only chance of using the Lucky Star on this guy was not in vain. He raised his head and looked at the battlefield on Lord of 10,000 Evil's side. Then, his expression froze slightly. That was because the situation on the Demon Lord's side did not seem too good. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, can you please help my friend? Also, if possible, kill the leader Rhoda and bring his corpse to me. Zhou Fight said. Then, he pointed at Lord of 10,000 Evils and Rhoda, who were fighting the ultimate void supreme gods in the sky. Even if I'm not your friend, I'll still help the Supreme Lord when he is in trouble, Your Excellency. However, since you've taken the initiative to mention it, I'll give it a try and kill them all. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Zhou Fight raised his eyebrows. This is bad, it had been faked by him. Were all saber players this cool? Just as he was thinking, the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had already raised his blade and turned into a black blade light, rushing towards the battlefield of Lord of 10,000 Evils and Rhoda. He didn't seem to care to hide from the enemies fighting in the center. However, the god spirits of the ultimate void race naturally would not allow this fellow to charge past them and reinforce their enemies. Stop him! Someone shouted first. In the blink of an eye, 3 supreme gods appeared in front of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade and blocked his way. You want to help your Supreme Lord Reserve Army? You have to get past us first. A Grade 3 Ultimate Void Supreme God said with a sinister smile. He could tell that the other party was only a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, while he and the other 2 were both Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. It was impossible for 3 Grade 3s to defeat a Grade 3. However, in the next second, a saber light that illuminated the entire void lit up. Grade 3 Lord Law Skill, Immeasurable Saber Light. Chapter 15-16. 3 Strikes. Fall. Swoosh. The Supreme God of the Ultimate Void looked coldly at the empty space in front of him. A crack that emitted a faint purple light suddenly appeared on his forehead, and the faint sound of the divine spark shattering could be heard from the crack. In the next second, splash! His entire body was split in half, and divine blood and flesh scattered all over the sky. The bodies of the other 2 supreme gods were also incomplete in an instant. They wanted to repair their broken limbs, but they were horrified to find that there was a powerful blade light at their broken limbs that prevented them from recovering. They felt despair when they saw this. With a single slash, 1 dead and 2 seriously injured. Why was this grade 3 Supreme God realm from the Supreme Will faction so terrifying? At this moment, Saros saw the Supreme Gods under the Lord of 10,000 Evils. He laughed hideously and charged at them. A moment later, he would slay them under his blade. At the same time, the Lord of 10,000 Evils, on the other hand, fell into a bitter battle. He had just secretly led Wuxia and Xian Tong to Rhoda's side. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to kill Rhoda, he was discovered by him. Then, they appeared and began a fierce battle with the 2 4th-grade Supreme Gods, Rhoda and Amro. Then 2 Grade 1 Supreme God guards guarding Rhoda and Amro rushed over. A total of 4 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods were engaged in a fierce battle with Lord of 10,000 Evils and the other 2 Supreme Gods. Lord of 10,000 Evils was indeed the Supreme Lord's 3rd Reserve Army. Even though he was only a Grade 3 Supreme God realm, not only did he not fall into a disadvantageous position in the battle against Rhoda, he even firmly held a huge advantage. It could be said that as long as he was given enough time, he could completely kill Rhoda. However, at this moment, an accident happened. A total of 5 Void Supreme Gods suddenly appeared from the void and joined the battle, fighting with Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others. Only then did Lord of 10,000 Evils realize that the Ultimate Void race had brought a total of 25 Supreme Gods, not 20. 9 Supreme Gods of the Ultimate Void camp versus 3 Supreme Gods of the Supreme Will camp. The Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others, who originally had the advantage, fell into an absolute disadvantage under the number of Supreme Gods of the Ultimate Void that was 3 times theirs. They wanted to temporarily retreat from the battlefield, but they soon discovered that these Ultimate Supreme Gods of the Void had long anticipated their intention to retreat and had already set up arrays around them. Not to mention escaping. Even the reinforcements couldn't break in. Ha 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 ha, Lord of 10,000 Evils. Don't tell me you really think that we were negligent by being here. We already expected that you wouldn't be able to deal with the main battlefield and could only take the risk to assassinate us. So we specially set up an ambush here. I was waiting for you, ha ha. Rhoda laughed wildly. Lord of 10,000 Evils' expression sank slightly, but his mouth was not at a disadvantage. You've ambushed me many times in the past, but am still alive and well. This time you won't succeed either. He said. Well, no, in a while. Let's attack together and kill him. I'll ask your excellency for credit later, Rhoda said. Then, he took the lead and rushed forward. The other 8 Supreme Gods immediately followed. The 2 sides started fighting again. The more Lord of 10,000 Evils fought, the more his heart sank. Wuxia and Xian Tong also had a bad feeling. This was because they discovered that these Ultimate Void Supreme Gods not only outnumbered them in numbers, but they were also terrifyingly numerous on Supreme God artifacts. Every Supreme God had at least 3 Supreme Divine artifacts on them. Among them, Rhoda had a full set of Supreme Divine artifacts. The Lord of 10,000 Evils had only seen this Supreme Divine artifact configuration a few times in the few major battles in the Ultimate Void battleground. He did not expect to see him again today. At the same time, he felt somewhat glad. Fortunately, before they came, Wuxia and Xian Tong had borrowed a complete set of Supreme Divine artifacts from the common people's regal, allowing their battle prowess to not be inferior to a top-tier 4 Supreme God at all. Otherwise, once Wuxia and Xian Tong were surrounded and killed, him, who was alone, would definitely not be able to last until now. Ha ha ha, Lord of 10,000 Evils, how is it? Do you feel the feeling of despair? Rhoda felt that the situation was already under control. He was still in the mood to laugh as he attacked Lord of 10,000 Evils. I'll give you a chance to surrender to His Excellency the Great Void Emperor. You are a god spirit with extremely high potential. There is an extremely high chance that you will advance to the Supreme Will realm in the future. The Void Emperor will definitely admire you greatly if you join us. He might even give you the position of the Void Holy Son. At that time, I will have to address you respectfully even if I see you. How's it going? Join us. I guarantee that it will be much more comfortable than staying with the supreme will. He was extremely sincere in his words. He sincerely wanted to invite Lord of 10,000 Evils to join them. The Lord of 10,000 Evils sneered. Let's see if you can still spout such nonsense when I chop off your head. Looks like you're asking for death. Then I'll fulfill your wish. All God spirits, attack them with all your might. There's no need to hold back. Yes, the 8 ultimate void god spirits shouted. Then, they surrounded and killed Lord of 10,000 Evils with all their might, making the pressure on Lord of 10,000 Evils even greater. Even though the Lord of 10,000 Evils said it forcefully, he still found it difficult to endure such a situation. Do I have to abandon my 2 brothers and escape? The Lord of 10,000 Evils' mind raced. He still had the trump card that the Supreme Will had rewarded him. It was not a problem for he to escape. But what about Hu Zhu and Xian Tong? These 2 supreme gods had been following him since he rose. He was really unwilling to abandon them. Unless he was really in a desperate situation. At this moment, the Lord of 10,000 Evils and the others suddenly sensed something and looked down. A black saber light appeared in the distance like a pillar of light. In the blink of an eye, it passed through the army and shot over like a sharp beam. Swoosh! In a split second, the layers of arrays set up by Rhoda and the others were shattered by the black saber beam. Which expert is it? Rhoda shouted and was the first to charge forward. My name is Heavenly Blade. I'm here to kill you. He finished speaking. Swoosh! A resplendent saber beam lit up. Grade 3 Lord Law skill, immeasurable saber light. Rhoda was shocked. He immediately picked up his giant axe, the supreme divine artifact, and used it to block in front of him. Boom! He was sent flying more than 10 light years away by the saber. Then, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of divine blood. When he looked at his supreme divine artifact again, he was shocked to discover that a crack had actually appeared on his supreme god artifact. Rhoda was shocked. This was a grade 4 supreme divine artifact. Even a top supreme god would not be able to crack it. Where did this guy come from? At this moment, the supreme god of the heavenly blade shot out another brilliant blade light, with the intention to conquer the world. Grade 3 Lord Law skill. Heaven's will like a knife. This slash completely shattered the supreme divine artifact in Rhoda's hand. Then, the supreme god of the heavenly blade released the 3rd blade light. With a single slash, 10,000 Dao annihilation. Grade 3 Lord Law skill. Heaven destroying Dao. A saber beam filled with a destructive aura flashed across countless light years and slashed through Rhoda's divine body. Rhoda opened his mouth wide. Then, his divine body silently split into 2 and stopped breathing. Grade 4 Ultimate Void Supreme God, Rhoda. 3 slashes. Fallen. Chapter 15-17. 10 Supreme Divine Artifacts. The Lord of 10,000 Evils, Hu Zhu, Xian Tong, and the other 8 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods watched this scene in a daze. Rhoda, the top Ultimate Void Supreme God, died just like that? They did not even have time to react before they were killed under the protection of the 8 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods? A thought appeared in their minds. Where did this Supreme God come from? At this moment, the face of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade finally appeared in front of the gods. Your Excellency Heaven Blade? The Lord of 10,000 Evils said in surprise. Is it the Heavenly Blade? Hu Zhu and Xian Tong were also very shocked. They naturally knew this number 1 saber expert among the supreme gods. In the past years, the other party had even joined the Ultimate Void battlefield alone as a lone god spirit, and fought the Ultimate Void army with them. The Lord of 10,000 Evils had even tried to recruit him, but unfortunately, he was rejected by the other party on the grounds that he liked freedom and did not like being restrained. At that time, the Lord of 10,000 Evils did not care. He had done similar things too many times after all. It was not the first time he had failed. Almost every supreme god who came to the Ultimate Void battlefield to fight against the Ultimate Void race, him, had been recruited. They mainly focused on casting a wide net to catch more fish. He had 3 supreme gods under his command, and he had recruited them in such a way. Even though he had failed in everything else, he was still happy. He just didn't expect it. The supreme god of the heavenly blade, who had once rejected him, had actually grown to this extent. One god in 3 slashes killed the strongest grade 4 supreme god, Rhoda. Rhoda could not even resist. What kind of strength was this? Could it be quasi-willpower level? The Lord of 10,000 Evils muttered. Only an expert of this level, or a supreme god who came into contact with this level, could have such strength that exceeded comprehension. Was the supreme god of the heavenly blade already a quasi-willpower expert? At the thought of this, he suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of loss. At this moment, the supreme god of the heavenly blade used the cloning technique to create a clone of himself. Then, this clone picked up Rhoda's corpse and turned into a black saber beam that flew in the direction of Zhou Fight. Along the way, no ultimate void god spirit dared to stop this person's path forward. It was simply as if he had entered an uninhabited place. However, the god spirits present, including Lord of 10,000 Evils, Amro, and the other ultimate void god spirits, felt that it was only right. This was a supreme god expert infinitely close to the quasi-will level. Stop him? Who dares to stop him? Even if it was just a clone, it was not something they could easily deal with. Then, Amro and the others looked at the main body of the supreme god of the heavenly blade again. Then, they saw this supreme god of the heavenly blade looking at them, as if they were dead. I promised your excellency the common people's regal. I'm going to kill you all. Heavenly Blade said in a low voice. The remaining 8 ultimate void supreme gods turned around without hesitation and flew in all directions. He immediately used the technique to escape into the ultimate void, so that the killing god could not find them. If it was Lord of 10,000 Evils, there was really nothing he could do against such a method of escaping into the ultimate void. Unfortunately, they were facing the supreme god of the heavenly blade, who had already touched the threshold of supreme will. With a thought from the supreme god of the heavenly blade, 7 clones instantly appeared beside him. The 8 supreme god of the heavenly blades raised their blades at the same time and cut open a void crack in front of them. Then, these 8 supreme god of the heavenly blades entered the void crack at the same time and disappeared. These 8 void cracks quickly healed after the supreme god of the heavenly blade disappeared. The Lord of 10,000 Evils, Wuxia, and Xiantong looked at each other, not knowing what to do next. The other ultimate void god spirits nearby did not dare to approach them, afraid that the killing god would return and casually kill them. Lord Demon Lord, what should we do now? Wuxia transmitted his voice. Xiantong also looked at the Lord of 10,000 Evils nervously. Don't panic. The Lord of 10,000 Evils said calmly. Your Excellency, Heavenly Blade's prestige is still there. If we make any abnormal movements now, it will make us look timid. At that time, we will be in danger. Well, wait here. Waiting for what? Wuxia immediately asked. Wait for the common people's regal to attack. Just now, the supreme god of the heavenly blade had already killed the grade 4 ultimate supreme god of the void, Rhoda. He also sent a divine power clone to send Rhoda's corpse back to him. Your Excellency, Heavenly Blade has already done what the common people's regal wants. Next, let's see how the common people's regal makes a comeback. The Lord of 10,000 Evils said. Wuxia and Xiantong looked at each other. Even though they trusted their lord's decision very much, could that brat common people's regal really lead them to turn the tables? The 2 god spirits thought about the young appearance of the common people's regal. Even though they knew that he had already taken down 2 ultimate void-based cities, they still felt that it was a little unreliable. However, they had no choice now. They could only trust this new Supreme Lord Reserve Army. At the same time, Zhou Fight looked at the clone of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade in front of him, and the corpse of Rhoda in his hand. A smile appeared on his face. As expected of a top Supreme God expert, who had touched the threshold of Supreme Will. Despite the pressure of the 9 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods, he could still easily kill Rhoda, and bring his corpse back as if he had entered an uninhabited place. Such a battle record. This was the first time Zhou Fight had seen it. It was too shocking. At this moment, the clone of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade put down Rhoda's corpse and let he float in front of Zhou Fight. Then, he said, "My main body needs my help. I'll go back first." "Sure." Zhou Fight did not ask further and nodded. The supreme god of the heavenly blade nodded. Then, his divine body collapsed into countless light spots and dissipated in the ultimate void. Zhou Fight looked thoughtfully at the spot where the other party had disappeared. The ultimate void supreme gods were all extremely good at escaping through the void, especially since they were in an environment suitable for them to fight in the ultimate void battlefield. They would definitely be able to escape like fish in water. Even if the supreme god of the heavenly blade had already touched the threshold of supreme will, he was probably not much stronger than them in terms of pursuit. Of course, he could definitely kill him. At most, it would waste a little more time in pursuit. During this period of time, nothing could go wrong on his side. It's more than nothing going wrong. Zhou Fight looked at Rhoda's corpse in front of him and smiled. Then, he directly extracted the other party's loots. This Rhoda was indeed the commander-in-chief of the Ultimate Void Coalition army. Other than the 6 supreme divine artifacts he was wearing, there were 4 other supreme divine artifacts with different functions in his world ring. Moreover, 4 of the supreme divine artifacts had reached the peak of grade 4. Zhou Fight naturally accepted them with a smile and put them all on. Chapter 15-17. 10 Supreme Divine Artifacts. The Lord of 10,000 Evils, Hu Zhe Xiantong, and the other 8 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods watched this scene in a daze. Rhoda, the top Ultimate Void Supreme God, died just like that? They did not even have time to react before they were killed under the protection of the 8 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods? A thought appeared in their minds. Where did this Supreme God come from? At this moment, the face of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade finally appeared in front of the gods. "Your Excellency Heaven Blade?" The Lord of 10,000 Evils said in surprise. "Is it the Heavenly Blade?" Hu Zhe and Xiantong were also very shocked. They naturally knew this number 1 saber expert among the Supreme Gods. In the past years, the other party had even joined the Ultimate Void battlefield alone as a lone god spirit, and fought the Ultimate Void army with them. The Lord of 10,000 Evils had even tried to recruit him, but unfortunately, he was rejected by the other party on the grounds that he liked freedom and did not like being restrained. At that time, the Lord of 10,000 Evils did not care. He had done similar things too many times after all. It was not the first time he had failed. Almost every supreme god who came to the Ultimate Void battlefield to fight against the Ultimate Void race, had been recruited. They mainly focused on casting a wide net to catch more fish. He had 3 supreme gods under his command, and he had recruited them in such a way. Even though he had failed in everything else, he was still happy. He just didn't expect his supreme god of the Heavenly Blade, who had once rejected him, had actually grown to this extent. 1 god in 3 slashes killed the strongest grade 4 supreme god, Rhoda. Rhoda could not even resist. What kind of strength was this? Could it be quasi-willpower level? The Lord of 10,000 Evils muttered. Only an expert of this level, or a supreme god, who came into contact with this level, could have such strength that exceeded comprehension. Was the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade already a quasi-willpower expert? At the thought of this, he suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of loss. At this moment, the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade used the cloning technique to create a clone of himself. Then, this clone picked up Rhoda's corpse and turned into a black saber beam that flew in the direction of Zhou Fight. Along the way, no Ultimate Void God spirit dared to stop this person's path forward. It was simply as if he had entered an uninhabited place. However, the god spirits present, including Lord of 10,000 Evils, Amro, and the other Ultimate Void God spirits, felt that it was only right. This was a supreme god expert infinitely close to the quasi-will level. Stop him? Who dares to stop him? Even if it was just a clone, it was not something they could easily deal with. Then, Amro and the others looked at the main body of the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade again. Then, they saw this supreme god of the Heavenly Blade looking at them as if they were dead. I promised your excellency the common people's regal. I'm going to kill you all. Heavenly Blade said in a low voice. The remaining 8 ultimate void supreme gods turned around without hesitation and flew in all directions. He immediately used the technique to escape into the ultimate void, so that the killing god could not find them. If it was Lord of 10,000 evils, there was really nothing he could do against such a method of escaping into the ultimate void. Unfortunately, they were facing the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade, who had already touched the threshold of supreme will. With a thought from the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade, 7 clones instantly appeared beside him. The 8 supreme god of the Heavenly Blades raised their blades at the same time and cut open a void crack in front of them. Then these 8 supreme god of the Heavenly Blades entered the void crack at the same time and disappeared. These 8 void cracks quickly healed after the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade disappeared. The Lord of 10,000 evils, Wuxia, and Xiantong looked at each other, not knowing what to do next. The other ultimate void god spirits nearby did not dare to approach them, afraid that the killing god would return and casually kill them. Lord Demon Lord, what should we do now? Wuxia transmitted his voice. Xiantong also looked at the Lord of 10,000 evils nervously. Don't panic. The Lord of 10,000 evils said calmly. Your Excellency, Heavenly Blade's prestige is still there. If we make any abnormal movements now, it will make us look timid. At that time, we will be in danger. Well, wait here. Waiting for what? Wuxia immediately asked. Wait for the common people's regal to attack. Just now, the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade had already killed the grade 4 ultimate supreme god of the void, Rhoda. He also sent a divine power clone to send Rhoda's corpse back to him. Your Excellency, Heavenly Blade has already done what the common people's regal wants. Next, let's see how the common people's regal makes a comeback. The Lord of 10,000 evils said. Wuxia and Xiantong looked at each other. Even though they trusted their lord's decision very much, could that brat, common people's regal, really lead them to turn the tables? The 2 god spirits thought about the young appearance of the common people's regal. Even though they knew that he had already taken down 2 ultimate void-based cities, they still felt that it was a little unreliable. However, they had no choice now. They could only trust this new Supreme Lord Reserve Army. At the same time, Zhou Fight looked at the clone of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade in front of him, and the corpse of Rhoda in his hand. A smile appeared on his face, as expected of a top Supreme God expert, who had touched the threshold of Supreme Will. Despite the pressure of the 9 ultimate void Supreme Gods, he could still easily kill Rhoda, and bring his corpse back as if he had entered an uninhabited place. Such a battle record. This was the first time Zhou Fight had seen it. It was too shocking. At this moment, the clone of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade put down Rhoda's corpse and let he float in front of Zhou Fight. Then, he said, my main body needs my help. I'll go back first. Sure. Zhou Fight did not ask further and nodded. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade nodded. Then, his divine body collapsed into countless light spots and dissipated in the ultimate void. Zhou Fight looked thoughtfully at the spot where the other party had disappeared. The ultimate void Supreme Gods were all extremely good at escaping through the void, especially since they were in an environment suitable for them to fight in the ultimate void battlefield. They would definitely be able to escape like fish in water. Even if the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had already touched the threshold of Supreme Will, he was probably not much stronger than them in terms of pursuit. Of course, he could definitely kill him. At most, it would waste a little more time in pursuit. During this period of time, nothing could go wrong on his side. It's more than nothing going wrong. Zhou Fight looked at Rhoda's corpse in front of him and smiled. Then, he directly extracted the other party's loots. This Rhoda was indeed the commander-in-chief of the Ultimate Void Coalition Army. Other than the 6 Supreme Divine Artifacts he was wearing, there were 4 other Supreme Divine Artifacts with different functions in his world ring. Moreover, 4 of the Supreme Divine Artifacts had reached the peak of Grade 4. Zhou Fight naturally accepted them with a smile and put them all on. Chapter 1519, Victory. The Lord of 10,000 Evils immediately became excited thinking of this. If they could win this battle, it would be the first major victory in the ultimate void battleground in the past 5,000 years. They had also obtained a victory of this scale 5,000 years ago, under the lead of the Supreme Will and the Supreme Army. However, as the Supreme Will shifted its attention to the Illusionist clan, and the Supreme Army left the ultimate void battleground, everything returned to normal. Even the territory obtained from that battle was quickly reclaimed by the ultimate void clan. The Lord of 10,000 Evils often hated himself for not being capable enough, but he was helpless against the powerful void race that occupied the right time, place, and advantage. However, everything has changed with Zhou Feit's arrival. First, they took down 2 ultimate void bases, and now, they were about to defeat an ultimate void army. The Lord of 10,000 Evils had not dared to think of such a result for a long time. This was all brought about by this Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army. Hurry! Let's join the battlefield and kill a few more ultimate void supreme gods. You won't have any credit at all if you continue to sit out. The Lord of 10,000 Evils suddenly realized this and hurriedly said. Then, he was the first to rush towards an ultimate void supreme god on the battlefield below. Hu Zhu and Xiantong also realized this, and hurriedly rushed down to kill this ultimate void supreme god with the Lord of 10,000 Evils. Victory was imminent. If he didn't attack now, he wouldn't have a chance to attack. When the 3 gods surrounded and killed this ultimate void supreme god, their mentality was also quite strange. They never expected that their mentality had undergone such a huge change in such a short period of time. On the other side, Zhou Feit looked at the current situation and nodded slightly. Not surprisingly, he had most likely won this war, and it was only a matter of time. 2 hours later, as the last ultimate void god spirit was killed, the entire battlefield finally lost the clamor of the massacre, leaving only the sound of the god spirits cleaning up the battlefield. Zhou Feit and Lord of 10,000 Evils led the god spirits to Wanlong City after the battlefield was cleaned up. On the surface, Wanlong City was protected by a supreme god-level defense facility. However, they broke through this supreme god-level defense facility and easily entered Wanlong City with just 1 round of attacks. Bai Yun and Hu Zhi joined forces and led a group of god spirits to search the entire Wanlong City before returning to Zhou Feit and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Reporting to your majesty, there's no ultimate void god spirit in the entire Wanlong City. Even that supreme god-level defense facility is not presided over by a god spirit. It's all because of its defensive instincts. Bai Yin reported. I knew it. How can a grade 3 supreme god realm defensive building be so fragile? The Lord of 10,000 Evils shook his head. Have you found the base star core? Zhou Feit asked. Found it. Bring this emperor along. Yes, your majesty, Bai Yin said respectfully. Then, he began to lead the way. Zhou Feit looked at Lord of 10,000 Evils and smiled. Brother Demon Lord, how about coming with me? Brother Common People's Regal, I won't go when you're inspecting your loots. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Even though he also wanted to witness the official occupation of the main city of the myriad Dragon War territories, he still knew when and what he should and should not do. However, Zhou Feit shook his head. This time, it was Brother Demon Lord and I who took down Wanlong City together. Now that we're going to completely take over Wanlong City, how can I go alone? Brother Demon Lord, come with me. Really? Lord of 10,000 Evils could not help but ask. Brother Common People's Regal seemed to want to share this result with him. However, in this war, he and his subordinates were almost useless. At most, before he took down Rhoda, his evil army, and the main combat army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, resisted the ultimate Void Army, for a period of time, to summon the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade for Zhou Feit to take down Rhoda. Next was the matter of Zhou Feit using the Sun of Destiny to turn the tide. He and his subordinates did almost nothing. Could this be shared with the Common People's Regal? Of course. Zhou Feit could tell what Lord of 10,000 Evils was thinking at a glance. He could not help but sigh inwardly. How long had it been since this guy had encountered a victory on such a scale? He was so careful when sharing the spoils of war with him. And Lord of 10,000 Evils did not guess wrongly. Zhou Feit was indeed willing to share the results with him. As for why he didn't enjoy the spoils of war alone, the reason was very simple. First, even though Lord of 10,000 Evils had some thoughts about competing for the Supreme Lord position, at least he did not have any dirty tricks. Instead, he was willing to compete fair and square with him. That point alone was enough to make Zhou Feit feel that the other party was at least a respectable opponent, so he had a good impression of him. Second, Zhou Feit was clearly much more outstanding than Lord of 10,000 Evils from the performance of this war. Since their performance was clear, it did not matter how much higher they were. In that case, it was better to share a portion of the results with Lord of 10,000 Evils. This way, he might be able to fight for the other party to become his ally. Moreover, he could prevent himself from looking ugly in the eyes of the Supreme Will. He had come to crusade against Wanlong City with Lord of 10,000 Evils after all. Moreover, the other party had indeed contributed, so he really shouldn't monopolize the results. At this moment, Lord of 10,000 Evils could also tell that Zhou Feit indeed wanted to share the results of the battle with him. The smile on his face immediately became even more sincere. If that's the case, I'll accept it respectfully like how you say it in the Cerulean planet. Brother Demon Lord, you're so considerate. You actually understand my native language? Zhou Feit chuckled. Then the two of them, together with a group of supreme gods, passed through the main district of Wanlong City and arrived at the City Lord Manor. Finally, they stopped in an independent small world inside the City Lord Manor. These ultimate Void Master God tier had opened up an exclusive small world in the City Lord Manor in order to protect the Void Base Star Core. The Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at the Grade 3 Base Star Core in front of him, with emotion in his eyes. Zhou Feit looked at the Grade 3 Base Star Core and smiled. Base name, Wanlong Main City, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Base. Treasure name, Void Base Star Core Polluted. Treasure grade, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Treasure effect. It can become the core of the base after determining the location of the base. With the base star core as the center, it can create any kind of base and add any buildings. At the same time, it can monitor all life forms within a radius of 100 million light years. Note 1. This base star core is a polluted void base star core. You can purify it with 1 million military credits and restore it to its original appearance and effect. Note 2. If you fuse 3 Grade 2 Supreme God base star cores or void base star cores, you can evolve them into Grade 3 Supreme God base star cores or Grade 3 Supreme God void base star cores. Prompt. Do you want to purify and occupy it? Purify and occupy, Zhou Feit said. Chapter 1520, Mission completed. Reward. The Supreme Will appears. In the next second, a text notification appeared. In the process of purification. Congratulations. You have successfully occupied Kai's City, Grade 1 Supreme God level war base, and purified the Void Base Star Core. Please name your war base, and choose the form of your base. Zhou Feit said. The war base is called the Blazing Sun Base Planet No. 3. Base form chooses planet. Change completed. Zhou Feit looked over. Base name, Blazing Sun Base Planet No. 3 Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Base. Treasure name, Supreme Base Star Core. Treasure grade, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Treasure effect. It can become the core of the base after determining the location of the base. With the base star core as the center, it can create any kind of base and add any buildings. At the same time, it can monitor all life forms within a radius of 100 million light years. Zhou Feit nodded slightly after reading it. This time, they had completely occupied Wanlong City. Suddenly, lines of new text notifications appeared in front of Zhou Feit. Ultimate Void Battlefield Mission Tips. Congratulations, Lord of the Blazing Sun. You have successfully conquered the main city of Wanlong and the entire Wanlong War territory, and eliminated or conquered Void General Savoy, Grade 1 Supreme God. Eliminated Void General Thunder Emperor, Grade 2 Supreme God. Eliminated Void General Yuli, Grade 2 Supreme God. Eliminated Void General Yuka, Grade 2 Supreme God. Eliminated Void General Wanlong, Grade 3 Supreme God. And are rewarded with 10 million military merit points, 5 Supreme God level mission medals, and 1 opportunity to promote the race artifact. Zhou Fight smiled and opened his mission panel. User, Lord of the Blazing Sun, Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army, Ultimate Void Battlefield, 2nd Leader of the Supreme Will Camp, Military Merits, 1, 4 million points mission medal, 8 Supreme Mission medals other reward. 1 chance to advance to a racial divine artifact. Zhou Fight nodded in satisfaction after reading it. Now, the only mission I have left is the exclusive mission of conquering the Void Mystic Realm. He thought to himself. He could start on this mission after he sent someone to gather information. At this moment, the Lord of 10,000 Evils congratulated and sighed. Congratulations to Brother Common People's Regal for conquering the main city of Wanlong and taking down the entire territory of the Wanlong War. How many years has it been? We've finally done this again. I have to thank Brother Demon Lord for your help. I can't do this on my own. Brother Common People's Regal, you flatter me. The two of them exchanged pleasantries. At this moment, endless white lights suddenly lit up in the sky. These white lights gathered together to form a pure white eye. It was the Supreme Eye. When Zhou Fight, the Lord of 10,000 Evils, the Supreme Gods, and all their subordinates saw this Supreme Eye, they bowed without hesitation and extremely respectfully. Greetings, Lord Supreme Eye. Common People's Regal, Lord of 10,000 Evils. The Supreme Eye said, We're here. The 2 god spirits stood up and said respectfully. The Supreme Eye's pure white eyes swept across Zhou Fight, and Lord of 10,000 Evils. Its gaze stopped on Zhou Fight for a while, and its eyes revealed obvious satisfaction. The 2 of you have retaken the entire territory of the 10,000 Dragon War, and made a great contribution. The rewards for your missions are no longer enough to reward you for what you did. Tell me, what do you want? Zhou Fight and the Lord of 10,000 Evils' eyes lit up at the same time. The Supreme Eye was asking them for their opinion. This was a rare opportunity. Zhou Fight and the Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at each other. The Lord of 10,000 Evils wanted Zhou Fight to speak first, but Zhou Fight shook his head slightly. Seeing this, the Lord of 10,000 Evils knew that the other party had not thought it through. Hence, he pondered for a second and stood up. Reporting to the Supreme Will, I actually didn't contribute much in this battle. Most of the things were done by the Common People's Regal. It was also him who turned the situation around and saved us. Therefore, I'm really embarrassed to ask for anything. Lord of 10,000 Evils stopped talking after saying that. The Supreme Eye looked at Lord of 10,000 Evils. A few seconds later, it said, Lord of 10,000 Evils, as the leader of the Ultimate Void Battlefield, even though you don't have enough progress, you didn't disappoint me in terms of conservation. I'm also very satisfied that you and the Common People's Regal are on the same side this time, to snatch back the territory of the 10,000 Dragon War. These are 3 supreme proofs. Take them as your reward. I hope you can work with the Common People's Regal in the future to protect this territory of the Ultimate Void Battlefield, and not let the Ultimate Void race invade our Supreme Universe. Also, your previous mistakes are over. You don't have to dwell on the past in the future. Prepare for the future with all your might. Thank you, Lord Supreme Will. The Lord of 10,000 Evils was overjoyed. The Supreme Will forgave him for losing his territory when he faced the Ultimate Void race in the past. This had always been the biggest knot in his heart. He did not expect that the Supreme Will would actually be willing to forgive him now. Supreme proofs. What's that? Zhou Fight was curious. However, he didn't ask. He was thinking about what he wanted. Was he going to increase the number of supreme gods around him? That was not necessary. He had the Son of Destiny, so he was destined to have no lack of supreme god-level experts in the future. It was even more impossible for him to want a divine artifact. Increase his strength level? Even though Zhou Fight was only at the strength realm of an advanced grade master god tier, His true combat strength was no longer inferior to an ordinary grade 4 supreme god. Therefore, he did not have much need for this. He wanted to protect his trump card. That was possible. However, Zhou Fight felt uninterested. With heavenly fate Di Huang around, he could have as many treasures as he wanted in the future. There was no need to use this precious opportunity on this just because he lacked treasures. Woman? That was even more impossible. Then what did he need? Suddenly, Zhou Fight knew what he wanted. That was indeed what he needed the most at the moment. At this moment, the Supreme Eye also turned its gaze to Zhou Fight. Clone of common people's regal, have you thought of what you want? The Supreme Eye asked. Lord Supreme Eye, I want a treasure to increase my will realm. Zhou Fight said. His will realm had been improving slowly after he entered the will divine transformation realm. Even though his inheritances from the other supreme gods could allow him to have more understanding of the will divine transformation realm, the time saved was not enough for Zhou Fight's will to increase greatly in a short period of time. If his willpower could not increase, it would be difficult for his strength and realm to increase. His main body was already used to the feeling of his strength increasing rapidly. Such a slow increase made him and his clones somewhat depressed. That was why he made such a request. This was also the reward that Zhou Fight felt that his main body wanted the most. Chapter 1521. Supreme Proofs. Sure. The Supreme Eye said. A drop of water that emitted 7 colors appeared in front of Zhou Fight as soon as he finished speaking. Then the Supreme Will said, the reward has been given to you. The danger of the ultimate void battleground has yet to be resolved. What you've done so far is only the first step to resolving this danger. Next, you still have to continue conquering and snatch back more territory of the ultimate void battlefield. Your mission will only be completed when you completely expel the ultimate void race and become the master of the ultimate void battlefield again. Common People's Regal Lord of 10,000 Evils. I have high hopes for you. Your performance this time has proven that you did not let me down. Continue to conquer more territories in the ultimate void battleground. You don't have to worry about the rewards. As long as you do well, I have everything you want. Do you understand? We understand. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils said respectfully at the same time. Supreme Eye took one last look at Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils before slowly dissipating into the ultimate void. Zhou Fight and the Lord of 10,000 Evils slowly stood up. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Previously, I didn't mention that I was a clone to Brother Demon Lord. Brother Demon Lord, don't take it to heart. This is all the main Boda's fault for being too cowardly. Zhou Fight happily pushed the blame to Zhou, who was far away in the reincarnation sacred palace. Then, he changed the topic and said, however, Brother Demon Lord, don't worry. In the main Boda's origin clone, I'm almost no different from the main body. The main body can also know the situation here through me. Haha, actually, I already knew that your main body had the ability to clone. Therefore, I guessed that you were a clone of him when you came. I just obtained confirmation now. I don't care about that. The Lord of 10,000 Evils chuckled. Then he'll still call you Brother Common People's Regal in the future? Sure. Zhou Fight nodded. Sure. The Lord of 10,000 Evils didn't care. Who wouldn't have mastered a few cloning techniques to reach their current strength? He really did not care about this. It was fine as long as the Common People's Regal knew about the situation here. It was fine. Brother Common People's Regal, I'm benefiting from you this time. Then, Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at the 3 golden badges in his hand with a happy expression. Zhou Fight looked curiously at the golden badge in the other party's hand. Was this the supreme proof that the Supreme Will was talking about? What can it do? Zhou Fight asked Lord of 10,000 Evils directly. This supreme proof is very useful. The Lord of 10,000 Evils said happily. He pointed at the 3 supreme proofs and said, these 3 supreme proofs are all the nomological essence of a fallen supreme god. They are condensed by a secret technique created by the Supreme Will. Each of them can immediately create a grade 1 supreme god. 3 supreme proofs can give birth to 3 grade 1 supreme god experts under me. Zhou Feit's eyes widened. 3 supreme proofs could create 3 grade 1 supreme god level experts? This effect is so ridiculous. He suddenly regretted it. If he had known that the effect of the supreme proofs was so powerful, he would have asked the supreme will for it. With the contributions he had made in today's battle, the supreme will might be able to give him 5 to 6 supreme proofs. Then wouldn't he have 5 to 8 more supreme god-level experts under his command? The Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at Zhou Feit's expression and seemed to see through his thoughts. He chuckled. Brother Common People's Regal, listen to me first. Even though these supreme proofs can instantly create 3 grade 1 supreme god experts, it also has a considerable flaw. That means that a supreme god who has used the supreme proofs will only be able to stay at the grade 1 supreme god level for the rest of their lives, and will never be able to improve. Zhou Feit was originally very interested in the supreme proofs, but his interest was immediately halved when he heard this. He had the supreme unique lord talent, the protection of the supreme will, coupled with the endless inheritance of the supreme god. If his subordinates wanted to become supreme gods and walk further on the path of the supreme god, in terms of difficulty, it would be thousands of times easier than other ordinary god spirits. Under such circumstances, it was naturally impossible for him to want such a flawed supreme god spirit inheritance to limit the future growth of the god spirits under him. Of course, this was still very tempting to those gods who had no hope of becoming supreme gods. At this moment, the Lord of 10,000 Evils suddenly reached out and handed the 3 supreme proofs to Zhou Feit. Brother Demon Lord, what are you? Zhou Feit was stunned. Brother Common People's Regal, I didn't contribute much in today's battle. I really feel guilty accepting these supreme proofs. I think it's most suitable for you to accept it. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Zhou Feit looked at the other party. Even though there were no emotions on his face, he felt a little emotional. This Lord of 10,000 Evils was capable. Brother Demon Lord, you should keep these 3 supreme proofs. I don't need them. You've seen my ability. With my ability, it's not difficult for me to want the supreme god. And Brother Demon Lord's losses today are not small. Zhou Feit said to Lord of 10,000 Evils. Then, he looked at the 1,000 Evil army behind him. After today's battle, the 1,000 Evil army had lost more than 2 billion god spirits and master god tiers. More than 5,000 of them had died, and 3 supreme gods had died. The losses could be said to be heavy. As for him, because of the resurrection altar and the resurrection ability, not a single god spirit died. Lord of 10,000 Evils followed Zhou Feit's gaze and looked at the 1,000 Evil army. He took a deep breath and smiled. The losses today are indeed not small, but compared to the results of the battle, this loss is already very good. Moreover, even though I've lost many god spirits, these fallen god spirit slots can be replenished by the god spirits in the battle channel of the myriad races. Even though our ultimate void battlefield is very dangerous, there are also huge opportunities. Many god spirits want to come here. It's just a pity for my 3 brothers. The Lord of 10,000 Evils' expression darkened. The 3 fallen supreme gods were all his good brothers who had lived together for more than 10,000 years. In addition to the traitor, the Flame Duke Supreme God, he had lost 4 supreme gods in today's battle. This loss was indeed too great. When Zhou Feit saw this, he smiled and returned the supreme proofs to the other party. So I'll leave the supreme proofs to you. I won't lack supreme gods in the future, but I can't lack a powerful ally like you now. And you can keep the relics of your 3 supreme gods. In the future, there might be a chance to revive them. Revive the supreme god. The Lord of 10,000 Evils shook his head. That can only be done by some supreme will level experts who are good at living beings. Keep it. What if? Zhou Feit asked meaningfully. Lord of 10,000 Evils pondered for a few seconds before nodding. Meanwhile, Zhou Feit was also thinking. He already had a supreme god level subordinate. In order to prevent the death of a supreme god level subordinate, if he had the chance in the future, his first choice should be to get himself a supreme god level resurrection lord talent. If he could revive the supreme god, the overall combat strength of his subordinates would increase greatly again. Then, he looked at the drop of water in front of him. Chapter 1522, Race Divine Artifact, Building Tree City Breaking Hammer. Treasure Name, Source of Will. Treasure Grade, Supreme God. Treasure Effect. It can increase one's willpower potential and strengthen one's willpower. Treasure Description. A will-type treasure without the attribute of will. It's the best treasure to nurture and increase the level of will, but it's rare and difficult to collect. Even supreme will-level experts rarely have such a treasure. The source of will? Zhou Feit looked at the rainbow water droplet and nodded slightly. He did not know how much the rainbow water droplet could increase the level of his main Bodis will. Hopefully it could improve a little. Zhou Feit was filled with anticipation. Then, he threw it into the number 1 treasure vault and let his main body take it away to refine it. At this moment, most of the soldiers under he and Lord of 10,000 Evils were already exhausted after the battle just now. Therefore, after Zhou Feit left a portion of the god spirits to station on base No. 3 and base No. 2, he directly let the god spirits under him rest on base No. 3. From then on, this blazing sun base 3 planet would be their first base camp. As for he brought Bai Yun and the little dragon back to the Demon Lord base planet to exchange for some treasures. Demon Lord base planet. Zhou Feit looked at the Supreme God Realm monument in front of him and began to check the treasures inside. He had long been prepared, so he directly swept past the uninterested treasures and looked at the city-breaking treasure. Over the past 2 days, even though he had taken down 3 cities of the ultimate void race in a row, outsiders seemed to have it easy. But in fact, Zhou Feit knew in his heart that if he had not grasped the superlord talent of the Son of Destiny, coupled with the help of the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade today, it would have been very difficult for him to complete the battle results of the past 2 days. Putting aside the fact that he was not strong enough, Zhou Feit also had a deep impression of the defense strength of the Supreme God-level defense facilities in the cities of the Ultimate Void Base. These things caused he a lot of trouble. If not for these Supreme God-level defensive facilities, he could easily take down more Ultimate Void Base cities with the help of the Son of Destiny. So the moment he returned, he specially came to search for city-destroying treasures. As he searched, hundreds of Supreme God city-breaking treasures appeared on the Supreme God Realm monument. Zhou Feit looked at them one by one. Tian Divine Needle, Grade 4 Supreme Artifact. Tian Emperor used 182 kinds of high-level materials, such as Tian Moonlight, Laurel Godwood, Tian Magic Iron, etc., and refined them with Huangquan Fire, Juyo Magic Fire, Purgatory Mysterious Fire, and Tian Divine Fire. It is said to be indestructible and unbreakable. Military merit required for redemption. 50 million military merit points, 20 Supreme God Mission medals. Racial Artifact. Holy Spear of Destruction. Advanced Racial Artifact. The racial treasure of the advanced bloodline race. The Destruction Clan, which can destroy most items in the world. Military merit required for exchange. 25 million military merit points. 3 Supreme God Quest medals. Racial Artifact. Construction with Skybreaking Hammer. High-level racial artifact. This was created by the Supreme God of Creation, using a branch of the will-level treasure, Jianmu. It is one of his most proud works. It has a special attack effect on defensive buildings, and can easily break through various defensive buildings and facilities. Military merit required for redemption. 15 million military merit points, 6 Lord God Quest medals, Void Divine Barrier. Intermediate Race Divine Artifact. Open the Void Divine Barrier, and turn yourself and the surrounding life forms and things into nothingness. In this state of nothingness, you can pass through most things in the myriad worlds. Required military merits. 3 million military merits, 1 Master God Tier Mission Medal. Zhou Feit browsed through them one by one. After looking at all the city-breaking treasures, he thought for a long time and finally looked at the high-level racial divine artifact, the construction with Skybreaking Hammer. Even though this racial divine artifact did not have the effects of the race, his specialization in defense-type buildings met Zhou Feit's needs. He had the best effect among all the city-breaking treasures. Therefore, Zhou Feit decided to exchange for it. Still, 15 million military merits and 6 Master God tier mission medals. I don't have enough. Zhou Feit rubbed his chin. He only had a total of 14 million military credits. He still lacked 1 million to buy it. He thought for a moment and contacted Lord of 10,000 Evils, who had just returned to his palace to rest. At the level of Lord of 10,000 Evils, there was naturally no problem of sleeping. But today, he had fought consecutively with several supreme gods, and was even besieged by several ultimate void supreme gods. He had almost fallen to a life and death crisis. In this situation, his divine body, soul, and even will had been squeezed to the limit. Therefore, in order to make up for the deficit caused by today's battle, he had to rest well. However, even so, when he received Zhou Feit's message, he immediately replied. However, after some thought, he simply turned off the information box and teleported to Zhou Feit. Brother Common People's Regal, what's the matter? Lord of 10,000 Evils walked over and asked directly. I don't have enough military merits on hand. I just want to borrow 1 million from you. Is that okay? Zhou Feit said directly. Lord of 10,000 Evils was stunned before he said generously. Why would I need to borrow it? Wait for me. With that said, he summoned a panel and began typing something. Soon, Lord of 10,000 Evils typed it in and sent it. Then, he looked at Zhou Feit and smiled. Brother Common People's Regal, look at the battle channel of the myriad races. Zhou Feit did not ask why. He nodded and opened the battle channel. At this moment, the battle channel of the myriad races was very lively. Countless god spirits were discussing here. The reason why they were so lively was because of the announcement at the top of the channel. Zhou Feit looked over. All God announcement. Congratulations to our Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army for conquering a Grade 1 Ultimate Void base, Kai City yesterday. Today, they consecutively occupied Savas City and the main city of Wanlong, allowing the entire territory of the Wanlong War to officially return to our Supreme Will camp. This is our first huge victory in 5,000 years. Let us congratulate the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army. In addition, as a reward, I, Lord of 10,000 Evils, as the leader of the Supreme Will camp in the Ultimate Void battlefield, will take out 20 million military merits and 10 Supreme God mission medals from the Public Military Merit Award pool as a reward to our Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army. At the end, Zhou Feit's eyes widened. Oh my God, 20 million military merits and 10 Supreme God mission medals. This was more than he had earned in a day. That's too much. Zhou Feit said. Not much at all. Today's battle is destined to be recorded in the history of the Ultimate Void battleground. Furthermore, Brother Common People's Regal and your subordinates destroyed so many supreme gods who were captured. It's a considerable blow to the Ultimate Void race. If it weren't for the fact that there aren't many public military merit award pools, I would have given you more. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Zhou Feit thought for a moment and nodded. Since the other party had said so, he would accept these military merits and Supreme God mission medals. Chapter 1523. The Powerful Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade. 1. Zhou Feit did not stand on ceremony, and accepted the 20 million military merits and 10 Supreme God mission medals. Then, he directly bought the race's divine artifact, the construction with skybreaking hammer. Following his purchase of this race's divine artifact, most of the military merits and Supreme God level mission medals he had just obtained immediately disappeared. However, Zhou Feit did not feel that it was a pity. Following his purchase of this race's divine artifact, most of the military merits and Supreme God level mission medals he had just obtained immediately disappeared. However, Zhou Feit did not feel that it was a pity. The key is how to spend it. He had decided to buy this racial divine artifact right away. It was very worth it. He looked at the emerald green war machine in his hand that looked like a model, and realized that its form was extremely similar to an ancient battering ram. From the looks of it, its effect was exactly the same as the introduction of the divine artifact he had just seen. Okay, with my current strength, if I activate it with all my might, I reckon I can easily destroy a grade 2 or even grade 3 Supreme God defensive building. If I have a grade 4 Supreme God under my command, and have a grade 4 Supreme God to activate it, even a grade 4 Supreme God level defensive building should be easy to break through. Zhou Feit was excited, but felt a little regretful instantly. This was because he currently did not have any grade 4 Supreme Gods under him. At most, he had a few grade 2 Supreme God Ultimate Void God spirits. There were none at grade 3 and 4. Previously, there were a few grade 3 and grade 4 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods in the Ultimate Void army. Unfortunately, they could not be reversed, so they were all wiped out. I didn't. The Lord of 10,000 Evils has won. And looking at Lord of 10,000 Evils, if I go to war in the future, he will definitely follow me and gain some credit. When the time comes, I can take the opportunity to borrow the 4th stage Supreme Gods under him, to use this construction with Skybreaking Hammer, right? Zhou Feit thought. Zhou Feit did not care about taking credit. It was fine as long as he was better than Lord of 10,000 Evils in the eyes of the Supreme Will. It didn't really matter how outstanding he was. The Supreme Will wouldn't care either. Then, he looked at his remaining military merits and medals. User, Lord of the Blazing Sun, Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army, Ultimate Void Battleground. The second leader of the Supreme Will Camp, military merits, 19 million points mission medal, 12 Supreme Mission medals other reward, 1 chance to advance to a racial divine artifact, and so many military merits and Supreme God mission medals. What do you want? Zhou Feit stroked his chin and flipped through the various treasures on the Supreme God Realm monument. A moment later, he shook his head. There were indeed many treasures in the Supreme God Realm monument that even he coveted. Especially when it came to racial divine artifacts. He wanted almost everyone. However, most of these race divine artifacts were of considerable benefits in the long-term development. They were those race divine artifacts that did not have high benefits in a short period of time. It was useless for the time being. This made Zhou Feit hesitate. However, he didn't hesitate for long before making a decision. Let's not exchange for the treasures here for now. There's nothing to be missing at the moment. It's not too late to exchange for it when you lack relevant treasures. Zhou Feit thought. Right at that moment, a void fluctuation appeared not far away from Zhou Feit. Bai Yin immediately stood in front of Zhou Feit and looked ahead warily. The Lord of 10,000 Evils also looked warily at the source of the void fluctuation. Next, an ultimate void crack appeared out of thin air, and a black-robed figure walked out. It was the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade, who had gone to chase after the 8 Supreme Gods. Your Excellency Heaven Blade! Zhou Feit, Lord of 10,000 Evils, and Bai Yin walked over happily. Your Excellency Common People's Regal. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said in a low voice, Look. He waved his right hand, and the corpses of the 8 ultimate void Supreme Gods appeared out of thin air on the ground. That terrifying Supreme God pressure immediately silenced the entire planet of the Demon Lord's base. These are the 8 ultimate void Supreme Gods that escaped. The Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at the corpses of the 8 ultimate void Supreme Gods in disbelief. Even though he was already mentally prepared for this scene, however, when he really saw the corpses of the 8 ultimate void Supreme Gods, he could not help but be shocked. This was the Supreme God of the ultimate void race. They were best at escaping in the void. In an environment like the ultimate void battlefield, they would only be like fish in water if they wanted to escape and avoid being hunted. In the past, when they encountered such an ultimate void Supreme God who escaped into the ultimate void, they could only look at the ocean and sigh. They had no motivation to pursue at all. They couldn't catch up at all because they had tried it a long time ago. They did not expect that the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade would not only catch up to them, but also kill them all. This would shock countless gods who had fought against the ultimate void race. as expected of a quasi-supreme willpower expert. After the shock, the Lord of 10,000 Evils was envious. A quasi-supreme willpower expert. If he could become that kind of powerhouse, even if the common people's regal made such a great contribution today, he would still have the courage to continue competing with him and the other two Supreme Lord Reserve Army for the position of Supreme Lord. But now, after seeing Zhou fight win consecutively, he felt that he was seriously lacking in confidence. When Zhou fight saw the corpses of the 8 ultimate void supreme gods, he was equally shocked but not surprised. He had long understood this person's strength after all. Chapter 1524. The Powerful Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade. 2. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade is really brave. Zhou fight praised sincerely even though he was not very surprised. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade is already a quasi-supreme willpower realm expert, right? The Lord of 10,000 Evils asked. Just a little more. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. I'm only a grade 3 Supreme God realm now. When I become a perfected grade 4 Supreme God, it'll be considered a true quasi-supreme willpower realm. The Lord of 10,000 Evils was speechless. Isn't it just a matter of time? The current him was almost no different from a true quasi-supreme willpower realm expert. Congratulations to Your Excellency Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade for becoming a quasi-supreme willpower elite. I hope Your Excellency Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade can break through the bottleneck soon and become a true supreme willpower elite. The Lord of 10,000 Evils took a deep breath and congratulated with a smile. How hard is it to take off the word quasi? I might stay on the same level for countless years. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said lightly. Zhou fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils did not say anything. That was because what the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said was true. Since ancient times, there would always be a small group of top supreme gods who comprehended a trace of the power essence of the supreme will and became quasi-supreme willpower realm experts. Then they would be stuck at this stage for the rest of their lives. Only a very small number of peerless god kings could truly break through the cage and surpass the limits of the god spirits to become supreme willpower realm experts. From there, he would rule the vast heavens. Even existences like the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord were only a step away. However, it was this step that stopped countless top supreme gods. Frankly speaking, even though Lord of 10,000 Evils said it was a blessing, he did not believe that the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade could do this, because it was too hard too. As the Supreme Lord's third reserve army, he enjoyed the resources bestowed by countless supreme wills. But so what? Until now, he was not even comparable to the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade. He could not be considered a quasi-supreme willpower expert, and could only be considered a top supreme god. At the thought of this, the Lord of 10,000 Evils could not help but think of the two Supreme Lord Reserve armies in front of him. God King Heaven Punishment, Spring Autumn Dharma Lord. Those two. One of them guarded the river of time, eternal and indestructible. The other one had long followed the Supreme Will to fight against the Illusionist clan, and was famous across the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Illusionist world. The two of them had long become Supreme Willpower Realm experts. As for himself, he was still far from reaching the Supreme Willpower level. At the thought of this, his expression could not help but darken. Right at that moment, a shocking change happened. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade suddenly spat out a mouthful of golden divine blood, and the aura on his body suddenly decreased and became weak. Zhou fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils' expressions changed drastically. Your Excellency Heaven Blade, what's wrong? Zhou fight immediately helped the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade up and asked with concern. After interacting twice, he already felt that the other party was a good friend that he could begin to get to know. Therefore, his concern was naturally sincere. It's just a small injury, the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. When I was chasing these 8 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods just now, I killed the last level 3 Ultimate Void Supreme God. I wanted to return immediately. I didn't expect to encounter 3 quasi-supreme willpower experts of the ultimate void race. I had a great battle with the 3 of them and escaped. He spoke very calmly, as if it was not what he had experienced, but what a stranger had experienced. However, Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils could naturally hear the danger. Those were 3 quasi-supreme willpower realm experts of the ultimate void race. Moreover, there was a high chance that he was not a newcomer like the supreme god of the heavenly blade, who had just become a quasi-supreme willpower expert, but a veteran. Under such circumstances, the supreme god of the heavenly blade could actually fight against 3 quasi-supreme willpower experts and escape successfully. Zhou Fight and the Lord of 10,000 Evils found it unbelievable. Powerful. It was too powerful. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils exclaimed in their hearts. However, when Zhou Fight sensed the condition of the supreme god of the heavenly blade's divine body, he frowned slightly. There were many mutated divine powers intertwining and destroying in his body. Cracks appeared on the surface of the divine spark, and his soul was in turmoil. Even the most important will became a little dim. You call this a small injury? Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, your injuries are not small. Zhou Fight said solemnly. I'm the supreme god of the Saber Dao. I've experienced countless calamities in my life. What's this injury? The supreme god of the heavenly blade was still very calm. However, Zhou Fight could not remain calm. You bunch dancing on the edge of knives really don't care about your lives. You're the King's strongest protective umbrella around me now. If you're done for, what should I do? He still did not have the strength to fight against a top ultimate void supreme god. Zhou Fight took out a large number of healing pills from his number 1 treasure vault without another word, including those that healed the divine body, the soul, the divine spark, the will. All kinds of grade 3 supreme god realm divine medicines were taken by him and stuffed into a world ring, finally placed in the hands of the supreme god of the heavenly blade. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, there are probably more than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine herbs inside. I estimate that you should be able to be saved even if you suffer 5 or 6 more such injuries. Rest well. We'll talk about it when you're better. Zhou Fight said seriously. After hearing this, the Lord of 10,000 Evils couldn't help but widen his eyes and look at the world rings in the supreme god of the heavenly blade's hand. More than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine medicines? Would the supreme god of the heavenly blade be taking them as meals? Also, was this guy really a newly promoted Supreme Lord Reserve Army? His strength was clearly only at the level Master God tier advanced grade, but his attacks were almost comparable to ordinary Supreme Will level existences. The Lord of 10,000 Evils thought that he was rich, but he also felt that he could not be like Zhou Fight, who could take out more than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine herbs at once. They all needed divine crystals. Where did the common people's regal get these things? Could he have inherited the inheritance of a supreme will level existence? The Lord of 10,000 Evils could not help but have such doubts. The supreme god of the heavenly blade looked at the world rings in his hand and felt that there were more than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine herbs inside. He could not help but be stunned. This was the first time he had met such a generous person like Zhou Fight in his life. More than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine medicines were given away just like that? What kind of family was this? He was silent for a long time before saying, I owe you more and more. You've saved my life twice. Zhou Fight smiled. The supreme god of the heavenly blade nodded. Right at that moment, a voice appeared in the minds of Lord of 10,000 Evils, Zhou Fight, and the supreme god of the heavenly blade. It was the voice of the supreme will. Supreme god of the heavenly blade, you have a supreme will. Do you want to follow me to a wider battlefield to train? There, the probability of you advancing to the supreme will state will increase by at least 10-fold. The 3 gods were stunned. Then, Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at the supreme god of the heavenly blade. The supreme god of the heavenly blade was also stunned for a second before falling silent. What are you hesitating for? Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, this is a perfect opportunity. The Supreme will personally recruit you. This treatment is not something every quasi-supreme willpower realm expert can obtain. Zhou Fight hurriedly sent a voice transmission. The Lord of 10,000 Evils had the same thought. However, what the Lord of 10,000 Evils said next exceeded their expectations. Lord Supreme Will, can I postpone my trip? The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Your Excellency, the common people's regal has done me a favor. Now that he is in such a dangerous place like the ultimate void battlefield, I want to guard him first and wait for him to finish his trip to the ultimate void battlefield before going to the battlefield to train. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils were stunned as soon as he said that. Then, the Lord of 10,000 Evils looked at Zhou Fight enviously. This guy is really lucky. An existence with quasi-supreme willpower actually cares so much about him. If the other party really became a Supreme Will Realm existence later on, wouldn't there be a Supreme Will Realm supporter behind the common people's regal? He and the other two Supreme Lord Reserve Army naturally had supporters of the Supreme Will Realm behind them. However, when did they obtain the support of a Supreme Willpower Realm expert? When was the common people's regal? He had just advanced, but a quasi-Supreme Willpower Realm expert had taken the initiative to come and protect him. Now this quasi-Supreme Willpower Realm expert had even been personally admitted by the Supreme Will to have the bearing of a Supreme Will. His heart immediately ached with such a comparison. What did he do to deserve this? Chapter 1525. Supreme Race Divine Artifact. Common Life Cauldron. 1. I know what you're thinking. The Supreme Will said. But I have to remind you of something. As a quasi-Supreme Willpower Realm expert, the Void Emperor will definitely not ignore you once you appear on the ultimate Void battlefield to protect Zhou Fight. Instead, he will send out an equal, or even more quasi-Supreme Willpower Realm experts to deal with Zhou Fight on the battlefield. You seem to be protecting Zhou Fight, but you're actually attracting stronger enemies for him. If you hadn't appeared, Zhou Fight's situation would have been better. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade was stunned. He thought of the three Supreme Gods of the Void who had suddenly appeared. He had originally thought that their appearance was a coincidence, but after hearing the Supreme Will's explanation, he understood that the three Supreme Gods of the Void were probably here for him. He fell silent thinking of this. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils were also stunned. They did not expect that Zhou Fight would be the reason why the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade encountered three Supreme Gods of the Void at the Quasi-Supreme Will Realm. Zhou Fight pondered for a few seconds and said, Your Excellency Heaven Blade. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade looked up at him. Zhou Fight smiled and said, Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, the Supreme Will is right. You can follow the Supreme Will to train first. The situation on my side, even though slightly dangerous, is still under my control. Wouldn't it be better for you to protect me when Your Excellency Heavenly Blade becomes a Supreme Willpower Realm expert? The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade hesitated for a moment and nodded firmly. I will definitely become a Supreme Existence. I believe in Your Excellency. Zhou Fight also said seriously, Here you go. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade stretched out his right hand and saw a palm-sized sharp blade light quietly floating in his hand. He said, This is an attack that contains all of my strength. Under the circumstances of guaranteeing a hit, unless the other party is a god who specializes in defense, it's enough to kill a quasi-Supreme Willpower Realm expert in one strike. If used separately, it's enough to kill 4 fourth-order Supreme Gods before their divine power is exhausted. Leave this thing with Your Excellency. A smile appeared on Zhou Fight's face. Your Excellency Heaven Blade, between you and me, there's no need to be so polite. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade pointed at the world rings in his hand and said, These more than 1,000 Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Divine Medicines were enough for he to have the confidence to experience dozens of life and death battles. It's a very heavy gift. Next, he would follow the Supreme Will to the training ground mentioned by the Supreme Will. He had a feeling that these 1,000-odd divine medicines would play an incomparably huge role in his training. It might even be very useful for him to advance to the Supreme Will realm. Okay. Zhou Fight nodded. The supreme god of the heavenly blade nodded and turned around respectfully. Lord Supreme Will, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm willing to accept the training you gave me. Okay, let's go now, the Supreme Will said. As soon as he finished speaking, the supreme god of the heavenly blade's body turned into specks of light and disappeared. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils waited for a while, but the Supreme Will did not speak again. Only then did they confirm that the other party had left. The two god spirits heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. I didn't expect it to attract the Supreme Will. Zhou Fight smiled. With the potential of the supreme god of the heavenly blade, I'm not surprised. The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Zhou Fight nodded. Then, he suddenly asked, Brother Demon Lord, when you fought with the ultimate void race in the past, did you encounter any quasi-supreme will powerhouses who came to attack you? Of course. The Lord of 10,000 Evils knew what Zhou Fight wanted to ask. He smiled and said, At that time, it happened so suddenly that the planet of our Demon Lord's base almost fell, but they withdrew their troops the next day. Because after the Supreme Will found out about this, it directly sent 3 quasi-supreme will powerhouses to kill their sacred region, and personally killed their 5 quasi-supreme will powerhouses. After that, they never did such a bad rule of sending the strong to ambush them again. Zhou Fight smiled. This is the unspoken rule of war. Soldier against soldier, general against general. Both sides of the war have to follow this rule. If you suddenly confront the army, you will be bullying the weak and not following the rules. Then the ambush party will have a reason not to follow the rules and fight you. You sent a general to kill my soldiers? Then he'll also send a general to kill your soldiers. And he'll do anything. He'll kill until your heart aches and you regret it. Quasi-supreme willpower experts were all seeds that could achieve supreme willpower in the future. Even if it was a supreme will, existences like the Crimson Overlord and the Void Emperor would feel heartache if any of them died. It was not beneficial for either party to continue being so unruly. Then such unruly actions would naturally be forcefully stopped. It was just like how during wartime, it was tacitly forbidden to assassinate the leaders of both sides. This was also an unspoken rule. Everyone was a chess player after all. Winning or losing was only determined on the chessboard. If you lost, you lost. If you won, you won. If you suddenly raised the chessboard and attacked the other party's chess player, what was going on? Who would play with you in the future? Of course, if those who participated in the war were confident that they could win in one go, it did not matter. History is always written by the winners after all. Then am I breaking the rules by suddenly asking the supreme god of the heavenly blade to help me? Zhou Fight stroked his chin and said. Chapter 1525, Supreme Race Divine Artifact, Common Life Cauldron. 1. I know what you're thinking. The Supreme Will said, but I have to remind you of something. As a quasi-supreme willpower realm expert, the Void Emperor will definitely not ignore you once you appear on the ultimate Void battlefield to protect Zhou Fight. Instead, he will send out an equal, or even more quasi-supreme willpower realm experts to deal with Zhou Fight on the battlefield. You seem to be protecting Zhou Fight, but you're actually attracting stronger enemies for him. If you hadn't appeared, Zhou Fight's situation would have been better. The supreme god of the heavenly blade was stunned. He thought of the 3 supreme gods of the void who had suddenly appeared. He had originally thought that their appearance was a coincidence, but after hearing the supreme will's explanation, he understood that the 3 supreme gods of the void were probably here for him. He fell silent thinking of this. Zhou Fight and Lord of 10,000 Evils were also stunned. They did not expect that Zhou Fight would be the reason why the supreme god of the heavenly blade encountered 3 supreme gods of the void at the quasi-supreme will realm. Zhou Fight pondered for a few seconds and said, Your Excellency Heaven Blade. The supreme god of the heavenly blade looked up at him. Zhou Fight smiled and said, Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, the supreme will is right. You can follow the supreme will to train first. The situation on my side, even though slightly dangerous, is still under my control. Wouldn't it be better for you to protect me when Your Excellency Heavenly Blade becomes a supreme willpower realm expert? The supreme god of the Heavenly Blade hesitated for a moment and nodded firmly. I will definitely become a supreme existence. I believe in Your Excellency. Zhou Feit also said seriously. Here you go. The supreme god of the Heavenly Blade stretched out his right hand and saw a palm-sized sharp blade light quietly floating in his hand. He said, "This is an attack that contains all of my strength. Under the circumstances of guaranteeing a hit, unless the other party is a god who specializes in defense, it's enough to kill a quasi-supreme willpower realm expert in one strike. If used separately, it's enough to kill 4 fourth-order supreme gods before their divine power is exhausted. Leave this thing with Your Excellency." A smile appeared on Zhou Feit's face. "Your Excellency Heaven Blade. Between you and me, there's no need to be so polite." The supreme god of the Heavenly Blade pointed at the world rings in his hand and said, "These more than 1,000 grade 3 supreme god realm divine medicines were enough for he to have the confidence to experience dozens of life and death battles. It's a very heavy gift. Next, he would follow the supreme will to the training ground mentioned by the supreme will. He had a feeling that these 1,000-odd divine medicines would play an incomparably huge role in his training. It might even be very useful for him to advance to the supreme will realm." "Okay." Zhou Feit nodded. The supreme god of the Heavenly Blade nodded and turned around respectfully. "Lord Supreme Will, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm willing to accept the training you gave me." "Okay, let's go now," the Supreme Will said. As soon as he finished speaking, the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade's body turned into specks of light and disappeared. Zhou Feit and Lord of 10,000 Evils waited for a while, but the supreme will did not speak again. Only then did they confirm that the other party had left. The two god spirits heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. "I didn't expect it to attract the supreme will." Zhou Feit smiled. "With the potential of the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade, I'm not surprised." The Lord of 10,000 Evils smiled. Zhou Feit nodded. Then, he suddenly asked, "Brother Demon Lord, when you fought with the ultimate void race in the past, did you encounter any quasi-supreme will powerhouses who came to attack you?" Of course. The Lord of 10,000 Evils knew what Zhou Feit wanted to ask. He smiled and said, "At that time, it happened so suddenly that the planet of our Demon Lord's base almost fell, but they withdrew their troops the next day. Because after the Supreme Will found out about this, it directly sent 3 quasi-supreme will powerhouses to kill their sacred region, and personally killed their 5 quasi-supreme will powerhouses. After that, they never did such a bad rule of sending the strong to ambush them again." Zhou Feit smiled. "This is the unspoken rule of war. Soldier against soldier, general against general. Both sides of the war have to follow this rule. If you suddenly confront the army, you will be bullying the weak and not following the rules. Then the ambushed party will have a reason not to follow the rules and fight you. You sent a general to kill my soldiers? Then he'll also send a general to kill your soldiers. And he'll do anything. He'll kill until your heart aches and you regret it." Quasi-supreme willpower experts were all seeds that could achieve supreme willpower in the future. Even if it was a supreme will, existences like the Crimson Overlord and the Void Emperor would feel heartache if any of them died. It was not beneficial for either party to continue being so unruly. Then such unruly actions would naturally be forcefully stopped. It was just like how during wartime, it was tacitly forbidden to assassinate the leaders of both sides. This was also an unspoken rule. Everyone was a chess player after all. Winning or losing was only determined on the chessboard. If you lost, you lost. If you won, you won. If you suddenly raised the chessboard and attacked the other party's chess player, what was going on? Who would play with you in the future? Of course, if those who participated in the war were confident that they could win in one go, it did not matter. History is always written by the winners after all. Then am I breaking the rules by suddenly asking the supreme god of the Heavenly Blade to help me? Zhou Feit stroked his chin and said. Chapter 1527. Ancient Spatial Reflection Mirror. War Summary 1. After Zhou Feit saw the effect of the common people's cauldron, he decided to try converting a racial divine artifact. The first target he thought of was the Xianyuan divine sword. This racial divine artifact could be said to be the most important racial divine artifact of the human race. The effects were also extremely shocking. It could be said that it could increase the potential of the entire human race by a huge step. Once the effects of the Xianyuan divine sword's racial divine artifact radiated to the various races and citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, the potential of the races under him would undoubtedly increase greatly. However, after thinking about it and much hesitation, he temporarily didn't want to do this. Firstly, this was the first time he had used the common people's cauldron to transform into a racial divine artifact. He did not have much experience. If an accident or something that he did not understand happened, he would not only lose a racial divine artifact, but also the growth potential of the entire human race. That was something Zhou Feit did not want to see. Secondly, Zhou Feit was still from the human race, and had grown up listening to the legends of the Xianyuan divine sword. It was possible for him to radiate the effect of the Xianyuan divine sword on all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. But he felt a little uncomfortable. It was as if his treasure had suddenly become a public treasure, even though it was still his when it was public. Maybe I'm too narrow-minded. Zhou Feit sighed. However, he did not hide it in his heart. He had never felt like a noble character. He had stepped on the corpses of all races to reach his current position. Righteousness? There is no such thing. He was biased towards humans. I'm from the human race. What's wrong with me being biased towards the human race? One of his goals for working hard to this day was to lead the human race to rise in the forest of races, not to lead the races to rise and fight for supremacy. Furthermore, he had grown up under the protection of the humans. When he grew up, he naturally had to repay the humans and protect them. This was a matter of course. There's nothing anyone can say about it. Zhou Feit stopped thinking about it and began to think about using that racial divine artifact to test the transformation function of the common people's cauldron. Suddenly, a racial divine artifact appeared in his mind. You can try that. Zhou Feit's eyes lit up. Then, he flew out of the City Lord Manor without hesitation and awakened the dragon god of all life. He transcended the heavens and arrived at the planet where the demon lord's base was. This time, Zhou Feit did not disturb Lord of 10,000 Evils. He came to the Supreme God Realm Monument alone and searched for the racial divine artifact that he wanted. Soon, Zhou Feit did not disturb Lord of 10,000 Evils. He came to the Supreme God Realm Monument alone and searched for the racial divine artifact that he wanted. Zhou Feit looked over. Information about the divine artifact appeared. Race divine artifact. Ancient spatial illumination mirror. High-level race divine artifact. An exclusive race divine artifact of the space god race. It can reflect hidden life forms and items hidden in the interlayer of space and the void. Moreover, it can reduce 50% of the nomological damage from the void race and the ultimate void race. It's a treasure of the space god race. Required military merits. 3 million military merits, 5 Master God tier mission medals. Zhou Feit looked at the information about this racial divine artifact and nodded in satisfaction. Space God race. This was also one of the high-level bloodline races in the Supreme Great Cosmos. It was enough to rank in the top 100 of all high-level bloodline races. Being able to use space as their race name was enough to prove their talent in spatial laws. In terms of talent in the law of space, this space god race could indeed be said to be number one among all high-level bloodline races. And this ancient spatial reflection mirror was one of the space god clan's ultimate treasures. Later on, for some reason, this race sold their treasures to the ultimate void battlefield and became one of the treasures in the Supreme God Realm Monument. However, because this race divine artifact was only useful to the space god race, this spatial mirror had always been left in the Supreme God Realm Monument. Until now, no one had exchanged for it. However, that didn't matter. Most importantly, Zhou Feit planned to exchange for it now. 3 million military merits and 5 Master God tier mission medals? I bought it. Zhou Feit did not hesitate to spend military merits and mission medals to buy this ancient space reflection mirror. Then, he looked at his remaining military merits and medals. User: Lord of the Blazing Sun, Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army, Ultimate Void Battleground, the second leader of the Supreme Will Camp, military merit, 16 million points mission medal, 11. 5 Supreme Mission medals. Other rewards. None. Zhou Feit nodded slightly before his gaze landed on the ancient mirror that had appeared in front of him. He reached out to touch it. It was warm to the touch. At the same time, he could sense the artifact spirit of the ancient mirror cheering. It seemed to like worshipping him, its new master. Zhou Feit chuckled. With his current status, it was indeed not his luck to be able to obtain a racial divine artifact, but the honor of these racial divine artifacts. In addition, the fact that he had the bloodline of the space gods in his body was also one of the reasons why the ancient sky reflection mirror was so happy. Even though Zhou Feit himself had forgotten when Zhou's main body had absorbed the bloodline of the space god race. That doesn't matter. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm going to remake you first, Zhou Feit said softly. The artifact spirit of the ancient spatial reflection mirror was stunned, not knowing what its new master meant. When Zhou Feit saw this, he explained to the artifact spirit of the ancient sky reflecting mirror as he flew out of the Demon Lord base planet. Then, he summoned the dragon god of all life and used it to travel through the heavens to return to the City Lord residence of the Blazing Sun base planet No. 3. At this moment, the artifact spirit of the ancient sky mirror also knew that its new master actually had the ability to transform itself into a divine artifact of the universal race divine artifacts. Chapter 1528. Ancient Spatial Reflection Mirror. War Summary. 2. He was immediately excited. The status of universal race divine artifacts was much higher than that of exclusive race divine artifacts. Even though he felt a little strange about modifying himself, for the sake of his status, the artifact spirit decided to endure it. Zhou Feit was also very satisfied with the artifact spirit of the ancient sky mirror. It saved him the trouble of persuading him. Then, he didn't waste any time and directly threw the spatial mirror into the common people's cauldron. A supreme race divine artifact. As soon as the ancient mirror entered the body of the common people's cauldron, it sensed the terrifying aura of the common people's cauldron and immediately exclaimed. The next second, a scorching sun suddenly appeared above its head. This scorching sun emitted an extremely terrifying light and heat that shone on its body. Under the illumination of this terrifying light and heat, the artifact spirit of the ancient sky reflecting mirror felt pain and a trace of joy. At the same time, it could vaguely hear the fanatical prayers of all the races coming from all directions. This fervent prayer seemed to be blessing it, hoping that it would advance to a wider world. And with its advancement, it would be able to feed them better in the future. Possess it for the people, and use it for the people. This was the meaning of a racial divine artifact. I feel like my ancient limitations have been opened. This thought suddenly appeared in the ancient spatial reflection mirror's mind. Then, he was struck by a strong evolutionary emotion and fainted. In the outside world, as Zhou Feit looked at the cauldron that emitted shocking light and heat in front of him, he felt the change in his luck. Suddenly, he felt a trace of his providence being stripped away from his massive providence and fused into the common people's cauldron, transforming it into the mighty power of the common people's cauldron itself to modify the high-level racial divine artifact in his body. The ancient space illumination mirror. Zhou Feit raised his eyebrows. Luck was originally invisible. Most god spirits, unless they were god spirits who specialized in destiny and the Tao of fate, did not know how to use their power of destiny. Zhou Feit did not expect the common people's cauldron to be able to transform the power of providence and use it for its own use. There were countless racial inheritances in Zhou Feit's mind. However, even so, this was the first time he had seen such a method. I've learned something. Zhou Feit was amazed. Then, he stopped thinking and continued to focus on the common people's cauldron in front of him. Half an hour later, after the common people's cauldron absorbed about 3% of Zhou Feit's luck, it gradually stopped. Boom! A low and muffled sound sounded, and the entire common people's cauldron shook slightly. Then, the lid of the common people's cauldron suddenly opened automatically. A silver stream of light flew out and headed straight for Zhou Feit before stopping in front of him. It was a modified ancient mirror. At the same time, Zhou Feit only felt a stream of luck fly out of the ancient space reflecting mirror and feed into his luck. Then, he felt that not only did the 3% of providence that he had just lost return in the blink of an eye, he had even increased his total providence by 5%. Zhou Feit's eyes widened. This was a total of 5% of luck. Even though this number sounds small, his providence was equivalent to Zhou's providence. What was Zhou's status? It was no exaggeration to say that he could casually take out 1,000th of his providence and bestow it on an ordinary person. It could allow this ordinary person to have a smooth journey and build a divine kingdom lord faction, from nothing to become the lord of the divine kingdom. It was enough to show the weight of this 1,000th of luck. And now, this modified ancient mirror had directly fed him 80% of his total luck. Even if this was nourishing providence, it was equivalent to giving him 8 divine kingdom lord factions. Zhou Feit was shocked. At this moment, he even wanted to infinitely modify the race's divine artifact to nourish his luck and allow it to grow infinitely. This way, he might be able to directly make his luck reach the level of a supreme lord. When the time came, what's there to compete for? Even if he didn't do anything, he would naturally have supreme chi to transport him to the clouds. However, he soon thought of the restriction that the common people's cauldron could only modify one racial divine artifact a day, so he could only give up on this wonderful idea. However, we can't let go of converting a racial divine artifact every day. One of the key elements of success is accumulation, Zhou Feit thought. Then, he looked at the information of the modified divine artifact. Race divine artifact, ancient space mirror, high-level race divine artifact, a universal race divine artifact. It can reflect hidden life forms and items hidden in the interlayer of space and the void. Moreover, it can reduce the nomological damage from the void race and the ultimate void race by 10%. It's a treasure of the space god race. Zhou Feit's gaze froze after reading it. Sure enough, after modifying it into a universal race divine artifact, even though the main effect of the ancient sky mirror did not change, the percentage of damage that weakened the nomological laws decreased. Regarding this, Zhou Feit was not surprised. From an exclusive racial divine artifact that could only be used on the spatial god race, to a racial divine artifact that could be used on all the races in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, the effect would definitely decrease. Zhou Feit was already very satisfied with the reduction to 10%. Then, he didn't stay any longer and rode the dragon god of all life back to Blazing Sun Base 3. At the same time, Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, Zhou was looking at today's battle summary. Under the joint efforts of the two armies of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, today, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom had eliminated a total of 183 beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord factions, 111 intermediate-grade Divine Kingdom Lord factions, 65 advanced Divine Kingdom Lord factions, and 18 Overlord-level Lord factions. Adding on the enemies destroyed in the Ultimate Void battlefield, they had eliminated more than 400 enemies from the people of foreign races in the capital units, more than 20 billion god spirits, more than 200 million true god tiers, nearly 10,000 master god tiers of the people of foreign races, and 6 ultimate void supreme gods. Most of the god spirits that were destroyed were god spirits from the ultimate void race. And after today's war, after statistics, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom had obtained a total of 3.5 million mist cores of various levels, origin crystals, skill books, equipment and basic materials from the capital units. 3,123,342,197,830,2,342 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 1,924,231 legendary tier, and below Lord Talent spheres. A large number of Lord Talent crystal fragments of other levels. There were also 312 capital units, 9,782,832,240 units of divine crystals, from the low-tier deity level to the high-tier deity level. 123,923,119,182 true God-tier divine crystals. 62,133,133,221 master God-tier divine crystals. 8,212,391 grade 1 to grade 3 supreme God divine crystals. 8,123,230,942,910,000 low-level to high-tier deity-level divine artifacts. 929,380,000 true God-tier divine artifacts. 1,763,429 master God-tier divine artifacts. 19,384 supreme God divine artifacts. There were a total of about 7,123, 321 trillion divine spark fragments, God-tier herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. 302,334,238,979 master God-tier herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. 652,413 supreme God-level God-tier herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. In terms of insight defection, Zhou Fight directly instigated insight defection to have 20,089,997,790 ordinary God spirits, 232,314,231 ultimate void true God tiers, 8,211 ultimate void master God tiers, and 6 ultimate void supreme gods. In addition, the Lords of the Star Alliance had also instigated 74 capital unit soldiers, more than 210 million God spirits, more than 9,000 true God tiers, and 41 master gods. In the end, in terms of the advancement of God spirits, today, a total of 5,131,212,398 legendary tier advanced grade soldiers had advanced to low-tier deity level elementary grade God spirit. There were also 181,313 high-tier deity level advanced grade God spirits who had advanced to true God tier elementary grade God spirits. Another 241 top-notch true gods of the human race and 309 top-notch true gods of the people of foreign races felt their master God tier bottleneck and applied to enter the reincarnation sacred palace to cultivate in seclusion to try to break through to the master God tier realm. There was a high chance that they would officially break through tomorrow. Zhou's original military strength was 1,040 capital units 7, 213, 416, 634, 48 8,253 soldiers, 6,236, 14,002,754 God spirits, 2,644,113 true God tiers, 1,254 supremacy gods, and 1 supreme God. Now, with the addition of these divine spirit experts who had instigated insight defection, the military strength under him had reached 242 capital units with 730, 107, 320, 336, 294,754 God spirits, 2,637,453 true gods, 1,254 master gods, and 1 supreme God. Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading it. After today's war, the troops under he had once again increased explosively, especially the supreme gods. It went from 1 supreme god to 7 supreme gods. The speed at which the number of supreme gods increased was so terrifying that even those willpower technique factions would probably exclaim. Chapter 1529. 800 capital units recruits. The shock of the extreme world-honored dragon. The next day, Zhou opened his eyes and revealed a smile, feeling his evolution. I didn't waste all my Lord Talent spheres and Lord Talent crystal fragments in vain. Now I'm only one step away from a grade 1 supreme sacred body. After absorbing about the same amount of Lord Talent spheres and Lord Talent origin divine crystals, it should only take me a day. I should be able to advance to a grade 1 supreme sacred body. At that time, I can create the supreme unique Lord Talent myself. I don't need to rely on outsiders anymore. Zhou lamented. The deeper he went into the supreme god level, the more he felt the powerlessness in his hands that had not reached the supreme unique Lord Talent. Those Lord Talents that could play a huge role in killing in the past were almost equivalent to zero at the supreme god level. And the key to solving the crises that he had encountered recently was almost all related to the supreme unique Lord Talent. Therefore, the current he was very eager and looking forward to whether he could create the supreme unique Lord Talent. Whether he could really advance to the grade 1 supreme god supreme sacred body and create the supreme unique Lord Talent would be revealed tomorrow. Then, he walked out of the reincarnation sacred palace and came to Mugu. At this moment, Wuxia had already led his soldiers to deal with the Scarlet Broodmother's monster. He was chatting with Mugu while waiting for Zhou. Seeing their emperor arrive, the two of them immediately stood up and said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Majesty. I've already dealt with all the Mother Nest monsters. These are all the spoils of war." When Wuxia spoke, there was still a trace of excitement on his face. Then, he handed the 2 world rings to Zhou. Zhou took it with a smile and entered it with anticipation. When he saw the treasures inside, he immediately revealed an even more obvious smile. Among the 2 world rings, one of them contained 200 capital units, Supreme God Realm Soldier recruitment books, and 200 capital units, Supreme Holy Mage God recruitment books. In the other world, there were 200 capital units, Supreme God Realm Soldier Class Change Certificate, and 200 capital units, Supreme Holy Mage God Class Change Certificate. Zhou could not help but take a deep breath. Even though he was mentally prepared, he still couldn't control his emotions when he saw so many recruitment books and class change certificates. This was a total of 800 capital units recruitment books and class change certificates. He only had 31 capital unit soldiers under his command. This time, the Scarlet Broodmother's harvest had directly doubled his overall military strength. Moreover, these soldiers were all supreme soldiers with the lowest strength of an extraordinary tier advanced grade. They, who were extraordinary tier advanced grade, had already grasped law skills. Although they could not fight god spirits yet, they were not that weak. If any of them obtained the hero inheritance god spirit inheritance, their combat strength would not be inferior to the god spirits at all. Coincidentally, Zhou did not lack the hero inheritance and the god spirit inheritance. He could use this as a foundation to create a terrifying army with god spirit level combat power. At the thought of this, Zhou was even more excited. He forcefully controlled his emotions and looked up at Wuxia. Then, he handed the world ring containing the class change certificate to Wuxia. Legion Commander Wu. As usual, you should find reserve recruits to change your profession. This emperor will go to the gate of summoning to recruit new recruits. He said. Yes, Your Majesty. Wuxia said respectfully. Zhou nodded. Then, he turned around and flew towards the gate of summoning. In front of the gate of summoning, he came directly to the gate of summoning. He first called for an eternal battleship of the Master God tier advanced grade, then threw all the recruitment books in. Finally, he spent 100 intermediate true God tier divine crystals to recruit all of them in one go and arranged them on this eternal battleship. A total of 400 capital units extraordinary tier troops were neatly arranged in the inner world of the eternal battleship. His expression was solemn. His fighting spirit was raging. This was the power of a top supreme soldier type. Zhou chatted briefly with them and received a warm response from the new recruits. He smiled. Then, he opened the original Dragon Abyss interface of the Gate of Summoning and spent 100 true God tier advanced grade divine crystals to summon 66,666,600 pure-blooded dragons. He also placed them on the Eternal Mothership. Then, he carefully observed these dragons, and was pleasantly surprised to discover that among these pure-blooded dragons, there was a pure-blooded dragon. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. The original dragon abyss of a true god-tier advanced grade had a 50% chance of summoning a legendary dragon every time. This summoning probability was indeed high. Then, he patiently observed the legendary dragon. Looking at it this way, he raised his eyebrows slightly. This legendary dragon was actually a mature dragon that he had seen once. Your extreme world-honored dragon. Long time no see. Zhou smiled. That's right. The legendary dragon he had summoned this time was the first legendary dragon he had encountered in the past. The extreme world-honored dragon. The ancestor of the extreme dragon. The dragon with the strongest physical body. Ha ha ha. A loud laugh sounded. Then, the extreme world-honored dragon teleported to the sky not far from Zhou Fight, and looked down at the Lord of the Blazing Sun who was smiling at him. No, it should be the common people's regal, the Supreme Lord's Fourth Reserve Army. The expression of the extreme world-honored dragon did not change, but he sighed in his heart. Who would have thought that back then? He only admired the human lord a little. Now, he had actually defeated all the races in the world, and ascended to the position of the Supreme Lord's Reserve Army. He was on par with the three legendary existences. As for those three existences, they were existences that even the Dragon Clan had to look up to at their peak. As for those three existences, they were existences that even the Dragon Clan had to look up to at their peak. Who would have thought that not long ago, he had considered himself a senior in front of him? When the extreme world-honored dragon thought of this, his expression suddenly turned strange. This matter would not become something that he and his other legendary dragon companions could brag about in the future, right? Shaking his head, he dispelled the boring thoughts in his mind. He then looked at Zhou Fight again. He watched and watched. Shock and bewilderment appeared on his face. This was because not only did he feel an extremely terrifying threat from the other party, it was as if as long as the other party attacked, he would definitely be killed easily without any ability to resist. This was not the most terrifying thing. What scared the dragons the most was that he felt an extremely terrifying dragon bloodline pressure from the other party. This bloodline pressure had even exceeded the bloodline pressure of their ancestor, the primordial dragon, to a level that they could not see through. What kind of dragon was this dragon bloodline pressure? The extreme world-honored dragon was completely shocked. Apart from shock, there was also deep reverence. In front of a pervert like Zhou, he realized that his pride as a legendary dragon had completely vanished. Chapter 1530. Reason the extreme world-honored dragon naturally did not know. Zhou had absorbed a large number of legendary dragons and ordinary dragons' bloodlines, so quantitative changes had long caused qualitative changes. Therefore, his dragon bloodline had long reached the level of a supreme god-level dragon bloodline. Currently, only Lord of 10,000 Evils Azura Evil Dragon has barely reached this level of bloodline. Coupled with his contract with the dragon god of all life, his dragon bloodline added another trait of the supreme dragon god. And most importantly, he was infinitely close to the strongest bloodline constitution of a grade 1 supreme sacred body. With all kinds of factors stacked together, the level of Zhou's dragon bloodline had long exceeded the conceptual limit of the dragon bloodline. This made the extreme world-honored dragon feel a sense of awe. Zhou did not think too much about it. He looked at the extreme world-honored dragon, whose aura was even stronger than before, and was first surprised. Then, he smiled and congratulated. Congratulations to your extreme world-honored dragon for increasing your strength again. The current Your Excellency should not be weaker than the former 10 Master God tiers, right? The extreme world-honored dragon said embarrassedly. I have to thank Your Excellency for improving my strength. I missed the part where that's my problem. Zhou was stunned. Your Excellency, do you still remember the last time we met? Last time. Zhou recalled. Didn't I only meet him once? No. Zhou suddenly remembered. He and the extreme world-honored dragon had not only met once but twice. The first time they met was on the final battlefield against the lords of the extreme dragons. It was the first time they met. The second time he saw it was when he was absorbing the first demon's bloodline, Deep Abyss Remnant Will. He was almost possessed by Deep Abyss Remnant Will. At that time, in a moment of desperation, he had used the dragon sacrifice holy tower to summon the extreme world-honored dragon. In the end, as soon as the other party appeared, his incomplete dragon body was shattered by Deep Abyss glare, and the summoning failed. Zhou was even more puzzled at the thought of this. How did the extreme world-honored dragon's strength increase because of me? No matter how he looked at it, it did not seem to have anything to do with him. When the extreme world-honored dragon saw Zhou's expression, he did not become a riddler and directly explained. The last time I was shattered by the power of the Deep Abyss will divine transformation realm. Even though I suffered some injuries, fortunately, the Deep Abyss will was only incomplete at that time, and did not cause me serious injuries. On the contrary, I took this opportunity to sense the power of the will divine transformation realm for the first time. Ever since then, I've been focused on studying this level of power. In the end, I made a small breakthrough. Towards the end, the embarrassment on the extreme world-honored dragon's face disappeared, and he revealed a proud expression. There were only about 100 legendary dragons in total. Among these dragons, Deep Abyss could confidently say that he was undoubtedly one of the strongest in the advancement of the will divine transformation realm. The only person who could match his willpower was probably his ancestor, the primordial dragon, first venerable. The extreme world-honored dragon still did not know that there was a grade 1 supreme god Azura evil dragon in the ultimate void battleground. He wouldn't think that way if he knew. I see. Zhou came to a realization. Then, he clicked his tongue in wonder. The last time the extreme world-honored dragon's body was shattered, he had originally felt a little guilty, thinking that he had implicated him. He did not expect the other party to benefit from this misfortune. Zhou shook his head and didn't think too much about it. After a simple conversation with he ignored he, and let he reunite with the other legendary dragons. And on his side, he spent another 100 true god tier advanced grade divine crystals to recruit the new subjects of today. In the end, he had recruited more than 25 billion new subjects today. He had summoned more than 220 million new subjects than usual, including the 13 true god tier advanced grade god spirits. At this moment, boom 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 boom, a total of 550 nomological pillars of various colors soared into the sky from the direction of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. When Zhou saw this, he smiled again. It seemed that the true god tiers who had entered the Reincarnation Sacred Palace yesterday had already successfully broken through and advanced to Master God tier. This time, a total of 550 intimidators had advanced to Master God tier at the same time. It directly broke the previous promotion record. Not bad, not bad. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. 550 Master Gods. This number of Master God tiers was not a small number even for Lord of 10,000 Evils, who had tens of thousands of Master God tiers. There was even less to say to him. At the same time, the god spirits of the myriad worlds saw this scene. Even though they were already numb, they still instinctively observed the source of the advancement. After this glance, their expressions became even more calm and numb. It was indeed the blazing sun divine kingdom of the common people's regal. Last time, 392 true gods had advanced to master gods at the same time. This time, 550 true god tiers were promoted to master gods at the same time. Throughout the myriad worlds, from ancient times until now, which Master God tier had not gone through countless hardships to be born. After countless years and accumulation of resources, one had barely been born. You, on the other hand, have started to do wholesaling. Is there still any justice left in this world? What would those races and factions that didn't even have one Master God think? As expected of the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army personally chosen by the Supreme Will, It was unknown which god spirit was the first to sigh. Then this sentence quickly received the approval of all the god spirits. The other 3 Supreme Lord Reserve armies were already famous, and had even become legendary existences. Even for god spirits, most of them had only heard of his name and could not see his divine being. Even though the new Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army did not have the prestige and power of the top 3, because it had only been in office for a short period of time, the gods could already tell. This still immature common people's regal had already begun to show off his talents, and began to leave a legend of him in the myriad worlds. There was a good saying, never question the judgment of the supreme will. The gods couldn't help but think of this. At the same time, Zhou waited for half an hour before the master god tier advancement phenomenon in the sky began to dissipate. After all the advancement phenomena dissipated, 550 light pillars of various laws flew out of the reincarnation sacred palace and quickly landed around Zhou, revealing their figures. It was none other than the 550 high lords who had just been promoted. The moment they appeared, they knelt down and thanked Zhou in unison. Greetings, Your Majesty. Thank you for your nurturing, Your Majesty. We have all successfully advanced to become Master God tier elementary grade god spirits. Good. 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 Zhou Fight used 3 good S to express his joy. Tonight, this emperor will personally preside over your promotion ceremony. Thank you, Your Majesty. The newly advanced master gods immediately said respectfully. Chapter 1531. Lower tier deity level elementary grade potential. Thanatos leveled up. Zhou looked at the 550 new master god tiers in front of him, and nodded in satisfaction. Then, he chatted with them for a while longer before letting them go to the Blazing Sun Army's encampment and return to their respective posts. Zhou Fight calculated his current military strength after they left, including the 800 new recruits from the capital units, 66,666,660 pure-blooded dragons, and these 550 new master god tiers. The troops under him had already reached 1,914 capital units, with 7,213,483,488,253 soldiers, 31,723,973,942 god spirits, 235,215,256 true god tiers, 10,057 master gods, and 7 supreme gods. At this point, Zhou could not help but smile. Nearly 2,000 capital unit soldiers, 30 billion god spirits, 200 million true gods, tens of thousands of master gods, and the 7 supreme gods. Such combat strength was not inferior to Lord of 10,000 Evils at all. It was hard to imagine that he was just a dumbfounded character who looked at the troops of the Lord of 10,000 Evils 2 days ago. Be it strength, status, power, or military strength, he was not inferior to Lord of 10,000 Evils at all. It had only been 2 days that he had walked the path that Lord of 10,000 Evils had walked for his entire life. Apart from the fact that the ultimate void battleground was a good place, the most important contribution was naturally thanks to his supreme unique Lord talent. Son of Destiny. The Son of Destiny is too heaven-defying. Zhou lamented. In the past, this Lord talent had been concealed by him, the King of Spoils of War. However, the light it emitted already seemed to surpass the stronger heavenly fate Di Huang. Zhou shook his head and felt the lower limit of the human race's potential. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Low-tier deity level elementary grade. Today, the newly advanced master god tier of the human race had finally advanced from the legendary tier to the low-tier deity level elementary grade. From now on, we humans can also call ourselves top-notch bloodline races or gods. The name of our human race's god race shall be the Blazing Sun god race. Zhou had long thought about the name of the human race's god race, so he made this decision. Then, he sensed how many new master god tier humans were needed for God Lord Blazing Sun to advance from the lower limit of the low-tier deity level elementary grade to the lower limit of the low-tier deity level intermediate grade. The answer is a familiar number. 500 new Master God tiers. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. With the ultimate void battlefield, this number was not much to him. Then, he called Zheng Yuanqi over and asked him to publicize the name of the Blazing Sun God race. He had to inform the entire territory of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, and even the Myriad Worlds. Let the Myriad Worlds know the name of their Blazing Sun God race. Zheng Yuanqi naturally agreed immediately. With this divine name, our Blazing Sun God race can truly stand at the peak of all races. He was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. Zheng Yuanqi had followed Zhou for so long. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that he would be able to personally experience such a major event that would be remembered in history. This life was worth it. Then, he didn't have time to say anything else and immediately went to do it. Zhou smiled and went to the Lord shop. However, while only the mythical tier Lord shop naturally didn't have anything that Zhou was interested in, he still bought the 3 Master God tier treasures that were on sale today and threw them into his #1 treasure vault. Then, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly sensed something and teleported to a wasteland. This wasteland was already outside the territory of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. But to Zhou, there was naturally nothing to worry about. He only looked at the black-robed figure in the distance. It was the Master God tier of Death, Thanatos. Thanatos was staring blankly at the barren land under his feet, thinking about something. Suddenly, he squatted down and looked at the grass seedling that had just been born in the desolate land beneath his feet. It was born in a barren land with almost no nutrition, but it forcefully displayed its endless green brilliance in this barren land. This touch of green was especially dazzling in Thanatos' eyes. Thanatos looked at the seedling with pity and love. Then, he looked at the entire wasteland with pity and love. The wilderness may be the wilderness, but under its barren land, there are countless plants and even other life forms that once died in this wasteland. It's precisely because of the nutrients left behind after their deaths that this grass seedling and other grass seedlings grew. The green on you is not your own green. It's the green of the whole wasteland. Desolation is not heartless. It's just dust to protect the green. Death is the end of life. That's true. The beginning of life. With that, Thanatos suddenly sat down with a relieved smile. Then there was no longer any life in his body. He had fallen. Zhou frowned slightly when he saw this. He was preparing to walk forward to investigate when he suddenly had a premonition. After thinking for a few seconds, he closed his eyes before opening them again. His eyes flickered. At this moment, the world in his eyes suddenly changed. After the remnant will of the Master God tier, Thanatos perished. It turned into the light of will and dissipated into the world like resplendent stars. The world received an active feedback from the will of a Master God tier. The light between heaven and earth seemed to have become brighter at this moment. And so, the world also began to give feedback on the Master God Thanatos. An existence that carried a very small portion of the destiny of the High Continent gradually condensed at the place where the Master God of Death, Thanatos, had died. It was the fallen Thanatos. He had already come back to life. The newly resurrected Master God Thanatos was only at the Black Iron tier elementary grade. However, he looked up, opened his arms, and embraced the world. In the next second, a vast amount of heaven and earth energy surged into Thanatos' ordinary body, as if it was attracted by a vortex. Thanatos' strength began to increase at an astonishing speed. White Silver tier elementary grade, Diamond tier elementary grade, Epic tier elementary grade, Low tier deity level elementary grade, High tier deity level elementary grade, True God tier elementary grade, Master God tier elementary grade, Master God intermediate grade, Master God tier advanced grade. Boom. The final shackle that prevented Thanatos from advancing only lasted for a few seconds before it was broken. An aura of extreme nomological power, God among gods, and will divine transformation realm emitted from Thanatos. He also announced his existence to the myriad worlds. At this moment, the myriad worlds were shocked by this aura. Another supreme god had finally been born in the myriad worlds. Even the supreme will, who was far away in the Supreme Domain, took the time to look at Thanatos, who had just advanced to Grade 1 Supreme God. Among the 10 most likely to advance to Supreme God, the first one to advance was actually him. I really didn't expect this. I thought it would be Terence. Then the Supreme Will saw Jojo, who was not far from Thanatos. When the Supreme Will saw this, he instantly understood. Thanatos' advancement was probably related to this little fellow. That would be normal. He had personally chosen the Supreme Lord's 4th Reserve Army after all. The birth of a Supreme God with his help was surprising, but it was not incomprehensible. At the thought of this, the Supreme Will withdrew his gaze and focused on the battlefield where the Illusionist clan was fighting. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.